And we are live.
Yes, we are all live and we're all breathing and
we can't see the chat room.
yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I can't see nothing.
I cannot see nothing either. Weird. Yes, that is weird. Oh, here we go. It's on.
Oh, it's going now. Okay. Yeah, it's going now. So.
Hey, Mrs. SoCal.
Oh, there it is. Why am I always last?
Because you're not running the show anymore.
The heck? Whatever,
so,
dude.
Do we want to? Of course, we want to say hello to the people in the chat.
All right.
So we got Painless in the house. He's a.
Yeah, we're gonna send a code out through into the chat. So make sure nobody clicks on it, please. Our guest is gonna click on that code. As you were.
So let's say hello to the chat.
What are you doing?
We got Painless. He's a great guy. Got a bunch of great comments and good knowledge. Tom Paul Cajun's here with us. You know, typical watch.
Squat Zone.
Yeah.
What's up, Squat Zone? We got Michelle Harrell.
Squat Zone.
Bomber. What's up, Bomber? How you doing?
Boom. What's up, Bomber? Carol and Bill.
What's up, Bomber?
We got Squatchaholic, the moderator, the one who's watching.
We got Michael Harrell.
Already.
All right. Looks like we're getting a full house tonight.
What's up, Chris Jarvis?
How is everybody doing? I hope everybody had a good, safe Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and now you don't get to watch us close it out. So, yeah, peeking, just peeking. Boots on the ground with Barb. How you doing?
Barb.
Glad to have you.
Barb. I love Barb. Barb is like the sweetest person in the world.
Yeah. And she's out there getting it done too.
Oh yeah.
Out there getting it done. So
we're gonna get
much respect.
We're gonna get together, me and her and a couple other people, a bunch of other females, and we're gonna put our boots on the ground and go with Barb.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I hope you video every bit of it.
Oh yeah, we will. We will.
That's gonna be. It's gonna be an awesome adventure. Let me tell you.
Hello, Susan.
Susan Robertson, how you doing? Glad to have you. So, yeah, it's going to be a great adventure. I mean, who knows what may happen? You know, who knows? So, have you thought about a destination for that adventure yet?
No, we haven't. We got to get together and talk about it because that's going to be like fun.
Right. Well, yeah.
Hi, Richard. We got Richard.
How you doing?
How
you doing, Richard? No.
So you're gonna send that code out, Christy?
Yes, I am. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, see if he's on there.
I don't know if it's gonna let me do it. Hold on.
Don't burn any food now.
I'm not. Let's try it here. Okay, it's not letting me put the code in, Lewis.
Nope.
I hit invite.
Hello,
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. How you doing? Glad you can make it.
Yeah, copy and paste the clipboard. That's what I did. Okay.
We're testing out Christy's skills right now. Trying something new.
It's not letting me do it.
Okay, let me Hey
Does
Alan, if
he
you're on there,
have
send us your email.
either that? Yeah, need your email.
Yeah, he'll send his email over this.
So, while we are figuring out these technical difficulties,
yeah, don't
we
forget to like, please.
So, Lewis, I see you finally put out the big guy you found in your area.
There it is, Christy.
Yes, I'm going
Alan,
to it. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Damn,
What
Lewis.
did I do now?
You put out what you found in your area. Quick little teaser
I know.
clip.
I thought maybe I should just do it. Yeah, and then boots on the ground said I need to go back out there and do a size comparison. I go, that's weird that you said that because that's how I got that picture. Because when I went out there to do a recreation of the outline of the mom laying down on the vegetation, and she left that huge body outline, I went out there and laid down on there. I was only half her size. And then I turned around because I felt like I was being watched. So I got up and I went down into the riverbed and I took pictures, just random pictures. And there it was.
Yeah.
Sitting in the bushes right there where me and my uncle slept. Right on the other side of that where me and my uncle slept. And he's looking out of the trees. And I was like, dang,
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That's what they do.
So now
They just sit in the bushes.
Do it. Yeah, do it. It's just watching you.
Yeah, just watching. That's what they do.
So,
you know?
I'm gonna do another recreation and watch and see what happens. And this time, I'll probably get kidnapped. You know?
I don't think
I'll
so.
never get to come home. I'll be out there with them, hanging out. I'll be cooking deer for them. You know, I'll be slaving. You know.
They're gonna make you a little a leaf apron, and you're just gonna be the cook, for them. So
Squat zone.
I'll bring a bar of soap.
For you or them?
For them, me. Well, I'll need it later because if I'm out there all the time.
Man,
I'll bring tweezers.
Bring some Tic Tacs and some scissors and a brush.
Yep. Before you know it, they'll kick me out.
Well, it just depends on how valuable you are to them.
Okay, here's Alan. I'm gonna bring him in.
All right.
Hey guys. Hi everyone.
How you doing?
Pretty good,
Alan. What's going on?
Man, just real busy. I've been trying to get up to the hills, like our every Bigfoot place I go, except for a couple, and we're talking like 20 different areas, burned. Like 200 square miles burned.
No.
Yeah, but only the sightings picked up down lower in the valley, in the Central Valley. So now we're all along the rivers and creeks and stuff like that. It picked up Dogman, Bigfoot, just about everything picked up.
Oh my gosh!
But we only have one. Our special spot that we go to, that was the only place that didn't burn. But all the other places where I grew up and stuff burned.
Let's hope it didn't drive everything into that special spot.
I'm sure it did. We haven't been in there yet. They locked the gate right after Halloween, so we won't know until Memorial Day unless we hike in there. But they don't seem to like it when the gate is closed and we hike in. They roar at us like King Kong. I mean, like you can feel it from a mile away. So we don't go in there. We heard a baby crying the last time, and we kept going, and then the baby stopped crying, and then the roaring started, and it was like, okay, time to go.
Oh, shoot. Well, I'm going to check my food. I will be right back.
I wonder why that is. They only do that when you guys hike in there.
Yeah, I think they know, that the gate's closed and it's their time, right?
And we're not supposed to be in there.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't doubt it. I'm a big believer, daytime is my time and nighttime is their time.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff
for the most part.
A lot of stuff happens in the day too.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh yeah. I mean, the old myth that they're nocturnal has just been completely thrown out the window.
I think they have day watchers, the like spotters or something like that.
Right.
And they sit there and that's when you start hearing knocks or stuff like that. It's like they're alerting the other ones that you're in the area.
Right. Hey, we got one coming in. Be on alert kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I think that they're up when they're up, you know what I mean? And they sleep when they want to, it doesn't matter whether it's day or night or whatever, but, I definitely think some are definitely given the task of a watcher for sure,
Yeah, at night it picks up, like you hear the chatter and I guess everybody calls it samurai chatter. And then the little pebbles and stuff starts hitting the tent and stuff like that. And then around 4 or 5-ish, you're like right before the sun comes up, then they'll start walking around the tent and stepping on things so they're there, like the tarps and stuff like that. And but only before that, it's like 3 hours of little things hitting the tent or the side of the trailer or whatever.
Right. I think they're trying to get you out, maybe to see where you're at, because they can't see you when you're in a tent. They can't see where you're at in an RV or anything like that. They want to get a lock in on the actual physical person.
I actually think they see through the tent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have one guy on our team that has a pacemaker. And for the longest, they do this, I don't know what you call it, zapping. We call it zapping. And they'll zap you and it'll put fear in you or do weird things to you. But it messes with his pacemaker.
Oh, wow.
One day, by accident, we figured out that it started a rainstorm and his tent was leaking. So we grabbed a tarp and threw it over his tent, and then the zapping stopped for the next few days. So the next time he came up, we didn't put the tarp on. We didn't put 2 and 2 together yet, But soon as he got up there that night, he was being zapped, and around 3 a.m, we put a tarp over it, and then he wasn't being zapped again after that. So now we put a tarp over his tent all the time, and he hasn't been zapped since.
Wow.
So they can see through. I don't know what it is. I mean, they can see the IR light, and they can see you in the tent too.
Well, I mean, I don't know. As for the IR light, I every animal can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many thousands of pictures I have in northern Idaho of deer staring shit at the camera. You know what I mean? Possums and raccoons, they walk by, that light goes on, and they all look right to it, I have my camera set to take 30-second video. So you see it come into frame, and that light kicks on, and their head immediately whips around. I mean, all animals can see it. I mean, it's a big bright red light out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's going to stand out. But do you think it's a possibility because it's a pacemaker that they can actually probably maybe sense the electrical impulses? Are stronger than in him than in more normal people because he has.
That's a good question.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That could be, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's going to stand out to the group more than the rest of the people. You know what I mean? Because of that larger energy signal being projected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Just
an idea.
Hey, Alan, you walk with a cane, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
Have you ever had rocks thrown at you because you do walk around with a cane? Have you ever had things thrown at you?
Yeah.
From Bigfoot?
One day when we got in there, for some reason they I don't know what it is, but only I get a lot more than most everybody over there. And I don't know if that's because like they took control of my drone one day. First they pushed 3 trees down within an hour and a half in the same spot. And when it was right at dark when the last tree fell. So we decided we're going to go in the morning and check it out. And I flew my drone, and it was only the third time I've flown it. And I flew it over that. I told everybody stay back and let me fly over. Maybe there's something there and we'll pick it up on the drone or we'll spook it or something. Well, it was only like 75 yards from us. And as soon as the drone was over it, I lost control of the drone. And it started moving around and doing stuff, and I was freaking out. I turned the controller off and back on, hoping to reestablish a connection and hoping that my drone didn't fly away or something, because something was controlling it, And when I really started to panic, all of a sudden the controller said it was landing, going home. And I never used that go home button, so I didn't know
what to home.
Yeah, and it went right back and landed right where it took off, and I was like, "Thank you, guys." That's happened.
Twice. Instead of going to your house.
So here's a connection between the pacemaker and the drone. What do they both use?
Electricity,
Yeah. Think they're picking up on that?
Yeah. Well,
it's a similarity between the two. You know what I mean?
If you research them, like they've wiped out our batteries, like my camera batteries, all the batteries. Like it doesn't just wipe out one thing I'm using. It every single battery or electronic, the phones, the camera, everything wipes out and goes out when they're really close, or if they don't want you filming, but they can wipe them out. I mean, totally dead.
Oh yeah.
And we've had them really, really close, and I'll turn my camera on and everything goes off. It's like, hey, wait a minute, and then the next battery, it's like, oh my God, not all the batteries, but they can, all of them.
Oh yeah. I've just because of, I mean, we've heard it hundreds, if not thousands of times, them draining the batteries. I was out there, I knew it was close, and all of a sudden my battery went from 89% to 0 in a matter of seconds. I mean, we hear it all the time over and over and over. I've always wanted to have someone take a fully charged car battery out there,
Yeah.
Put a meter on it and say, okay, it's got 12 volts. All right,
Well, we do that. We do that. Like we bring a battery powered or a mixer, a 12-volt mixer,
right?
Audio mixer, and then we plug in a couple of microphones for stereo effect, and we run them way out, a little ways from like 30 feet away, and on opposite sides of the camp, aiming out, and we do that all night. And they'll come in. Now, what's really weird is you'll hear this, like it's touching the mic, but only when you look out while it's doing that. And we're all sitting in there with our headphones on, listening, to the mixer and hearing them talking and doing all kinds of stuff, walking around. And then they're right there and touching the microphone and making noise on it. But when you look out, they're not there. I mean, you can't see anything. Their microphone's there, but the noise doesn't stop. They're there, but you can't see them. And it's really weird. I mean, we left lights on. We used to turn the lights off, and I came out with this, they advertise them, solar powered light that you can. Well, I brought one, and it's a motion sensor, and I put it by the tent door, but it malfunctioned, and it stayed on. And that was the first time we realized that it didn't matter if there was light or no light. They still would mess with the microphone. And then, when we knew the light was on, we could hear them touching the microphone. And so we're peeking out and there's nothing. But we're hearing it, but there's nothing. And I don't know how many times that happened. And it's trippy.
So we just kind of got right into it with you and stuff, but we always ask this question to everybody, is what got you into the whole Bigfoot topic? Was it an experience? Was it just curiosity? Like for Christy, it was a movie,
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people, it was an experience. Some people, it was just curiosity. So what got you into the topic?
Well, I grew up in Yosemite, around Yosemite National Park. And even when we moved out of the park we still camped all around outside the park boundary. We deer hunt outside the park boundary. And I heard about them, but I didn't believe in them, and I would make fun of people. But then one hunting day in 1987, my dad had passed away the year before, and his best friend, which I thought he was family, because I when I was growing up, I never not knew him. You know what I mean? He was always camping with us and hunting with us. And I went with him after my dad passed away because he didn't have anybody to hunt with. And on the 9th day, I had bear tags and deer tags. It was my first bear tag that I ever drew, and it was like, I was stoked. My dad had bought a 300 Weatherby Magnum and put a lot of money into it. And I was going to get a bear, and that morning I thought I saw one. It was up on the hill. I could see the butt and the back and this bush. That what alerted me was the bush was moving, and all I could see was a silhouette because it was still dark and it wasn't light enough. We were going to walk over that hill. On the other side there was high mountain lakes, and it was just a trail going in. You can't drive to it. About a 4-mile hike. But we figured, the way they changed the deer season, where it was not in the rut anymore. So you had to go find the deer, because when it's rut, they're stupid. Well, we were sitting there waiting for the sun and this thing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get my bear. And I was getting all excited, and I was telling my friend, this is it, this is it. And I was getting all ready, and then it stood up, and it was a man. And I was like,
what the heck?
Wait a minute, like, we're in a cab over camper. We're parked at this road that we're sitting at the dead end of this little road, but we camped at the beginning of the road for 9 days. We seen people going and coming and going down the main road, but nobody ever went up that road or anywhere near that road. So it's like, where did that guy come from? Coming out of the wilderness. Here comes this guy dressed in black, no lights, no gun, no anything, just up there, and he started walking down towards us, but he acted like he was stalking, like how we hunt. You know, you stalk, you take 3 or 4 steps and then freeze for 5 minutes or however really long you can stand there without moving. And then take a few more steps and just keep doing that because you never know when you're going to walk up on something. But it was doing that. So we watched it for maybe, I'm saying it was close to maybe an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
As it was coming down the hill right to us. And I thought it seen the big camper we're in, you know, and I thought he knew we were in the truck and everything. But when it got like a little more light and he was about halfway to us and it was starting to get light enough where we could take off walking, but we're not because this guy's walking down and we're having the conversation of he must be a new hunter. He's an idiot. He's dressed in black. You know, when he gets down here, we're going to fill him in on you know, that I almost.
This guy's going to get hurt.
Like, yeah, if I wasn't a hunter experienced, I would have shot him when he had his head in the bush because that's how excited I was. But I know, you know, you don't shoot until you know for sure what you're shooting at.
Right.
And when he stood up, it was like, no, there goes my bear. You know, my God. And I was so mad at him. But then he got closer and he was like, wait a minute. That's not a guy. You know, he's got shiny hair like a black lab. Right around his eyes right here was the only flesh. All the rest of it was jet black like a black lab, all shiny, well-groomed. He walked like a man. He swung his arms. You know, I mean, he looked like he was a man, like a basketball player kind of guy, you know, real buff like Arnold Schwarzenegger. The closer he got, closer, the more details. Like I seen, you know, yeah, he was ripped. The dude was like more muscular than Arnold, you know. I mean, the dude was really ripped. And he stopped about, I would say, 40 yards. And it just wasn't like I could see, you know, this part right here. It was about like that big, like huge shoulders and muscles, and his arms are, you know, like the biceps are freaking, you know, huge. I mean, it was blowing me away. And I wanted to see him better, but the binoculars, I asked, where's the binoculars? He goes, like, in the camper. I'm like, shh, dang, you know.
Dang.
But I have a 6x18 variable scope with a rangefinder in it and everything, you know, and I think, okay, I'm going to look at his face. And I try to open the door of the 68 Ford, like really quiet, but 68 Fords aren't quiet.
No, they're not.
Even when you're doing it, you know, it's like
the door dropped and it's yeah.
And he heard that. He looked towards the truck. He wasn't looking towards the truck. And I jumped out and I threw the rifle between the door and the windshield, and he took off running to my right. And he was so graceful, fast, powerful. I don't have enough words to say how graceful and fast, and like he floated like a ninja. You know, I mean, like he wasn't, his head did, I mean, he was like, whew.
Yep.
And he went behind the only tree and he didn't come out. And I mean, every hair on my body was standing straight out, and I had goosebumps on goosebumps. My eyes were watering, my knees were shaking, and my buddy's yelling, don't shoot him, you know, at the top of his lungs. And I think it probably scared that thing so bad because, you know, I did have the rifle aiming at it, but I never looked down in the scope because he was moving so fast. As soon as he went behind the tree, he was gone. And my buddy's still yelling, don't shoot him, you know, and I told him I won't shoot him, because while it was running and swinging its arms and looking all graceful and powerful and everything and fast, I thought about shooting him, you know, like I could just take a pot shot at him, you know, because it's a monster. It's huge. It's not supposed to be there. I mean, I heard of it, but I never saw anything like it. But only that I've hunted a long time. Ever since I was like 5, I've been on the hunts with everyone, and I knew there's usually more than one of anything when you're hunting it, except maybe bear, unless there's cubs or something, or a year next to you. But it was like what went through my mind is like, okay, I shoot it, and then you're trained to go like poke it with your rifle and don't take your eyes off it because it could jump up, and then you want to make sure it's dead and everything. And I thought, what about the other one? That thing's moving so fast, I wouldn't be able to react and it would pop my head off. So I didn't shoot. And I told that to him, but then I went tracking it. I went to where it stopped, where I was opening the door at, and I found its tracks, and they were massive, huge. I mean, huge. I never seen anything so big ever. And then they were 12 feet apart. The steps were 12 feet apart where it was running. And I was like, wait, like, oh my God, wait. I kept looking back for the other track. Like, I would walk from one track to the next one. And I look back, there has to be one in the middle.
There's got to be one in the middle somewhere. No, there's not.
Like,
there's not.
Yeah, there's 2 left or 2 right feet.
Yeah, so then I checked it all the way behind the tree and everything, and I got to the buck brush, kind of like the brush that you go into on Saturdays, kind of like.
Right.
And I'm standing there, and I'm realizing I'm looking at this brush. It's all thick and everything. I'm not going to go in there, But then I think I'm realizing that, wait a minute, I just watched him walk down that hill through that brush, and it never went above his waist. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's 3 feet above my head, and it never went above his waist. Like, I may be as tall as his belly button, maybe. And it was like, okay, I'm out of here. And I turned around and looked back towards the truck, and I realized I couldn't see the truck. The tree was in the way. And I thought, oh no, he knows, he knew that he could put the tree between me and him and get away like that and go straight away. It scared me so bad, dude. I made it to the beat back to the truck. Then I couldn't sleep. And then I didn't go camping or hunting. I haven't hunted since, not in a sense of hunting game, but I didn't go in the woods for 6 years. I stayed out of the woods.
Wow. So that definitely played on your head quite a bit.
Yeah, because
that experience.
When I was growing up, we would go camping before deer season, like 2 weeks at a time. And we would go along the deer migration route. So, we'd be finding out where the deer are, how they're moving, and then when deer season would come on, we would go in the areas we already found them and stuff like that. But in the daytime, we would hunt in the morning and the evening, and then in the midday, I would fish in the creeks. And there was times fear came over me so bad when I was 12. And I would run a mile back to camp and get in there, and everybody's like, what's the matter? I'm like, I don't know. Something scared me, but I never saw nothing. I never heard nothing. Sometimes I did hear things like boulders.
I never saw nothing. I just felt the urge to run as fast as I could back to camp.
After I was an adult, I would go deer hunting by myself, and I would be out there a couple of weeks, and after 6 or 7 days, you don't even know if you could even say anything, like your voice works because you don't say anything. But I would get out there and be walking back to the camp, and all of a sudden the fear would come over me as an adult, and I would take off running with guns. I got 357 on my hip and a 30-06 or something in my hands, and I would still run. And then I would get 100 yards or so and think, what am I doing?
Why did I just suddenly feel the urge to run?
Well, that all makes
all this ammo and this weapons on me. Why did I just turn heel and just run?
Once I seen it, then that was all I could think about. And for 6 years, I was replaying all these things in my head, thinking it was that. It was that thing. That thing was what made all those weird things. That was the only. I was like, oh my god. Then I started going. I would go with a lot of people. I'd go camping, but while we're camping, everybody else is camping. I'm looking for Bigfoot. And I would get everybody, let's go for a hike, before I had a cane and everything, and I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
I found bare footprints where I tracked it for 2 miles up to the top of a ridge, and it was like a granite, real lots of granite and decomposed granite, and I would follow the tracks, and then they would end in the middle of where it couldn't end. There's no trees, just it was like, where did it go? Did a UFO pick it up? Like how did it do that? It did not walk backwards. They were so fresh, I could see the lines in the track. You know how I don't know if you guys were taught hunting or anything, but they taught us how to tell how fresh a track is by the dirt and the soil and stuff, or things getting into the track or breaking down,
Right.
One of the signs is the lines, how
right. Lines that, like in the palm of our hand and stuff, our feet have the same thing.
Right.
And if you see those lines, that's within probably 12 hours. You know what I mean?
I was saying it was like right ahead of me. I mean, it looked like it just passed, right? And I was right on its tail, and then all of a sudden it just stopped on the top of a ridge in the middle of nowhere, 75 yards of anything that it could hide behind, and I'm like, whoa, and I even would show my buddies that we went camping with, and we would be in there like right before deer season, October. We're wearing jackets. And they're like, well, that's some guy walking off into the wilderness barefoot. And you're like, really? With bigger boots than you. You know what I mean? Like bare feet, bigger than your boot. And it's just a guy. They're like in denial or something.
I mean, I've got a friend and stuff that does walk around the woods barefoot, but that's because he has MS and shoes hurt his feet.
Oh.
But he definitely chooses his route very wisely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is so that he's not walking around on big, sharp, jagged rocks and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But you can tell it's a normal size human foot. I mean, you put your foot right in it, and it's damn near the same. But when you get into bare footprints way up on a ridge in decomposing granite that just kind of stop in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And, they're okay. You wear a size 12 boot, and those footprints are bigger than your boot.
Right.
So, who do we have out there? Shaquille O'Neal out wandering around the woods in bare feet? Come on now, really?
Well, I never could talk them into it. They never believed it, and they still haven't seen one, most of them. And they don't, they won't go with me anymore. But I have other friends that do, but they're all Bigfoot people.
Right.
But all my buddies I grew up with, they think I'm nuts. So.
Well, how big was the footprint?
It was probably like the big one that ran, it was almost 20 inches long and probably like 9 or 10 inches wide at the toes, or the ball of the feet. And it was when it got to the hill, when it got past the tree and was running back up the hill, its toes were actually grabbing the dirt and throwing it back about 5 feet.
Wow. Well,
I found baby ones. We found little bitty, like little bitty tracks. And yeah, there you go.
This is a 14-inch track. My friend is in here, Patrick Vaughn. He's a tracker, and we found many footprints, but this is my 14-incher.
Yeah, we stopped casting them because we found so many.
Well, this is my first one that I ever found that was pretty decent and pretty deep in the mud. So, I wanted to have something, that way I could say, hey,
Yeah, you said the one that you saw coming down the hill when you opened that door and that thing creaked and that thing looked at you and ran. The footsteps were 12 feet apart.
Ooh.
Those were full footprints, right?
Right.
But the toes dug in a little more than normal.
Right.
When a human runs and they get up to speed, they run on the balls and the toes of their feet. So all you're going to get is the front part of that foot.
Oh no, this was the whole foot.
Whole foot, right?
And deep.
That's a good way of determining it wasn't human, because humans don't run that way. They don't land, heel, and roll with the mid-tarsal break and all that.
It don't have a 12-foot.
Oh, yeah, 12-foot strut and a 20-inch footprint either. But
that part took me a long time to get over. That because I've tracked everything. I mean, like, they were teaching us tracking. They would teach us, like, they would put their fingers and make a track and say, what is that? I mean, like, when we were hunting or even camping, they're always testing, like, okay, what's this animal? What's this animal? And teaching us all about it. Like, when bears step inside of a bear track, it looks like a Bigfoot track.
Yeah, the double step.
Yeah, but only there's claws in a bear track.
Right.
And they're about 2 inches past the toes, so you look for those little pierce marks, and you can tell the bear will step in and it'll actually have claw marks in the other, But
yeah,
that was what amazed me is it walked upright. It wasn't leaning and hunching over, like how when you see the ones on TV, they're like knuckle draggers or whatever. This was so graceful, so human like. I thought it was a human for a long time. And until it got where I could see it and it was light enough to see it, I realized I wasn't looking at a human. But I mean, it moved its arms like a human, and maybe its arms are a little bit longer than a human. But it was like way big up here, and then right down to a narrow waist. I mean, it had long legs. It was massive, big, fast, graceful.
You made the comment and stuff of how graceful and how fast they are, like ninjas, and I get a lot of questions going, well, how did I come up with my name from SoCal Forest Ninjas? It's not referring to me.
No, it's them.
That is what I call them.
Yeah,
they are absolute forest ninjas. I've seen them, like you said, just a black streak, doesn't make a freaking sound, going through the brush and the bushes, and you don't hear nothing. They're absolutely silent at that speed, and it's incredible, And that's where I came up with the name. They're freaking forest ninjas.
I've been calling them that for almost 25 years because of how they disappear.
Oh yeah,
And the tracks stop. Like, who only ninjas do that, or they'll be like 2 footprints and that's it.
That's it, yeah. And we've heard it dozens and hundreds of times, the same thing. Okay, well, I was following these footprints that got out into a field and just stopped.
Right.
There's nowhere for it to go. There's no trees. The bush line is 50 yards on either side and 100 yards in front. Where'd it go? They just stopped.
Yeah. And I've had so many weird things happen to me, even before I saw Bigfoot. I was in Oregon and we were camping and there was 3 tents side by side. Ours was in the middle, only like 3 feet from the other tents. And I woke up at like, I don't know, it was probably like 3 a.m. And it was kind of misting. The clouds were low on the hill, so it was kind of like fog, but you could see the sky, and it would, it was like broken clouds in the sky, and I'm laying there looking at it. Yeah, boy, it's so beautiful tonight, and then it dawned on me I was in a tent. It was like, where'd my tent go? And then I woke my wife up like, hey, wake up, and then she's like laying there like, oh my God, look at the stars. They're so
I heard the
beautiful.
story, and I cannot remember for the life of me where I heard it. Was it a Bigfoot radio? World Bigfoot Radio?
I'm not sure. I've been on so many places.
I've heard this story. You two were in your tent staring at the sky, and neither one of you dawned on you, wait a second, we're supposed to be in a tent. Yeah. Where'd the tent go?
Well,
and
the floor was
you
there.
Noticed it.
The floor was there. Everything we brought in the tent
Right.
was in there, but the tent was gone. And we got up in the morning. Yeah, all the poles, the ropes, the rain fly, the tent was gone. And we went when I got up in the morning, that I made circles, wider and wider and wider until
you did an orbit.
Yeah, and there was no tent, and everybody was kind of freaking out, like
because you were in the middle tent too. You had tents on each side of you when this happened.
Yeah.
And
then what was really weird is finally they're like, "Are we gonna hunt or not?" Like, we need to get over this tent thing, and we go hunt, and we come back, and the mother-in-law is throwing everything in the car. And we had a Volkswagen Baja that we went in, and she was just throwing everything in, and we didn't bring a lot, and me and the father-in-law were sitting at the campfire and we're wanting breakfast, and she's like, "We're leaving." Why? And she said she saw a Bigfoot 6 foot in front of her, and she went down out of sight to relieve herself, and when she was like squatted down, this thing stood up from behind a bush and was staring right at her 6 feet away, and she didn't go, but she was leaving. So we were making fun of her. First the tent disappears. Now, you don't even know what to do. So we're just joking at her, and she was getting more mad. She was pretty mad because we wouldn't stop, and we're laughing at her and stuff. So then the father-in-law's brother comes back, and they went, how we were hunting, we got in a stand, and then everyone split out, made a big line, and then they pushed the deer to the stand. We didn't see anything. We got back when they went by us. We headed back to the camp. We got there first. When they got back, this guy starts throwing everything in his car. Or the back of his truck. He's not packing it. He's just throwing it, And we start, immediately he has our attention because he's doing that. That's exactly what the mother-in-law was doing. We're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm leaving. Like right now, I'm leaving." His kids are crying. Like, why? Because you saw a Bigfoot or something? And he goes, "No, I didn't see a Bigfoot. I saw a UFO." I was like, "What?" Now we're like, okay, we're getting a little more serious here, like we're leaving too. When we got back to Klamath Falls, there was UFO reports all over the place, and everywhere they saw the UFO over the city of Klamath, the power grid went out. So it would move, and then that power grid would go out that night when the tent was missing. That's what was going on in Klamath. And it was like all over the radio and the news and everything. I was like, oh my God. And then it happened that night as well. The UFO coming, and the power was going off and on everywhere it went. It was shutting the grid off. And as it moved past, the power would come back on, but go off in the other grid. And it was a wild weekend, man.
That sounds like it, man. So you think that's where the top of your tent went?
I have no idea.
Because you said the bottom of it was there.
Yep.
It's just everything above the bottom was just gone.
And it made you wonder, like, was I abducted? Or me and the wife abducted? We don't remember.
You didn't wake up with any weird scarring or anything on you? You guys checked each other and everything?
I didn't know enough then to look. Right, but only now.
Take a metal detector across your body,
I do have something in my leg, like a little bump on my leg. I never had it checked though, but I do notice I can move it around and stuff like that. It's right on the.
What the heck?
And I didn't even know it was there till I got hurt, and the nerves died in the leg, and the leg started atrophying. And then I realized I got this little, like a BB feeling thing in my leg.
You might want to go have that X-rayed and see what it comes up as.
Or
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
That'd be crazy.
Not trying to freak you out or nothing, but
well, like I hang out with like one of my good friends. If everybody wants to see a really good show, they did a video. He was abducted. Him and his two friends were abducted, and it's called 10-11-02, and you spell it out 10 and 11-02 TWO. You spell out the whole title in YouTube, and his video will come up, and they got a handprint of the alien on his car that burned into the paint. But I mean, that's one of my friends I hang out with. I met him because we interviewed him on another show for, and so now me and him go out, but he has to be home before dark every time. I mean, he
do you blame him?
No, but only I'll go out after dark,
Right.
We went out when the fires were burning. We were trying to get a place where we could send the drone up and see the devastation, but they had everything closed. So we had also got reports of a pterodactyl and dogman in this one certain area. So we went over there after trying to get into the forest and got turned away by the rangers and fire people. So we went down there, and then he took off, and I already hiked around a little bit, and I wasn't up to hiking too far. So I just bust out the camera, and I'm like looking around, and he comes running back, and he's huffing and puffing and almost falling down because he's 50 something years old, running around. And he saw the dog man, and it was like, all right, I'm going hiking. Let's go back in there. He's like, what? You want to go back in there? I'm like, yeah. He didn't really want to go, but I made him go. I think I got it on camera. I'm not sure. I got some wild pigs on camera, and I think it was behind him. I think the head stuck through the bush, and I think I got it, but I'm not sure. It's hard to tell.
Well, speaking of Dogman and everything, our buddy Cryptid559 here in the chat, he's had some experience with Dogman himself. So, and he is.
The last
Alan goes with him. Alan goes with him.
That's
yeah.
I went with Cryptid.
Yeah, they go together.
Oh, nice. Well,
he saw some kind of pterodactyl thing, him and his cousin, and
Thunderbird.
I don't know what it was, but we went out there. I met him out there, and we were sitting in the same spot waiting. He saw a dogman at the same spot like a couple of years ago. But we go out every so often. He's really a cool guy, and he has some, like, we compliment each other on the equipment. Like I have a little bit and he has a little bit. So we have a good,
Yeah, but when you guys come together with that little bit that you each have, then you're something to reckon with. You know what I mean?
Nothing happens, They're all set up like nothing.
Yeah, So it took you what, 6 years to get back out in the woods after your first sighting.
Mm-hmm.
What got you back out in the woods? Was it curiosity, just camping trip?
6 kids. I have 6 kids, 5 boys, and I wanted to teach them stuff about the woods.
Oh.
And I started taking them out and doing that. And actually, I hunted one more time, only once. And one of the kids I had was he was, I don't know if not ADHD, but he had some problems. Okay. And when I told him, okay, you guys, there's all kinds of guys in camp. I went into a campground. Usually I don't camp in a campground, but I went with those guys, I went to a campground, break them in easy, you know. But only I took off hunting, and I grabbed my 30-06 and I told them I'll be back in a little while. Well, after I got, I don't know, 700 yards away, I could hear my name being called. And it was the oldest one that has the little bit of the problems. He started freaking out and yelling my name. But I got far enough away where I couldn't hear him anymore. And I got back about 3 hours later, and I could hear he's still yelling my name as I'm coming in. And when he saw me, he quit. Well, I got in camp. Then all the other people camping, you know, they go, Allen. And I would look over there and everybody would start laughing, you know. It was like, oh my God. That was the last time I went hunting, too. I had a couple of little things happen, and it was like, okay, that's it. I'm done hunting deer and stuff. I'm going to figure out what these are. And been at it since like 93, 92, something like that, looking for Bigfoots. And I always thought they were flesh and blood for a long time. But as
what do you think now?
There's
something more to them.
Yeah, like I seen some stuff now, you know, and
right.
and I've talked to a lot of people, and like I've not seen some stuff like I was telling you about them going like this with the microphone, and the light is on the outside light is on, and you can see the microphone, and you could hear on the headset it's going like this, but you can't see nothing. So the more, and then I have some friends like the one with the pacemaker. He was on Monster Quest a long time ago, one of the original Monster Quests. And he was the deer hunter, and he had one step out from behind a tree and then glow its eyes red, and it got his attention. But then on his peripheral vision, he seen 2 or 3 of them side skirting away. But he didn't want to take his eyes off the one that was like 5 feet in front of him, you know, built like Arnold again, you know, huge. And glowing its eyes red. But then when they got out of his peripheral vision, the red eyes quit. It went back to normal brown eyes, and it stepped behind the tree, and then it was gone. And he didn't see him again or hear him, but it freaked him out. And he's had a lot of different since then. He did the same thing as me. Started going out by himself, like we're idiots, you know, like don't go by yourself. I think they are opportunists. That's why people disappear and you don't hear from them. You know, they say, well, Bigfoot doesn't attack people. Well, if they attack you, and as big as I've seen, you're not coming back. You know what I mean? You're not going to come back with a story because you disappear. You become a statistic.
You become a number.
Yeah, you know, and I watch your videos when you're out there on that trail, and there's a lot of people and everything, but as soon as you step off, like I wouldn't worry about the people coming and going. I would just like, hey, got to take a leak. You know, that when I step on and there's people, I would just say that, you know, and they're like, oh, what? But that's what I would tell them, you know.
Right.
Or who threw
dog
poop out, you know, in the bag? Like, don't you guys take it home with you, you know?
That bothers me so much. It's like you took the effort to put your hand in a plastic bag, pick it up, tie it up, but
and
then you just throw it out. Okay, so now you're just introducing plastic to the freaking environment. Don't even bother picking it up.
Why? I've seen you pick up.
Let it biodegrade naturally. It's one thing I've learned out there. Well, I've learned a lot of things. I've learned that if you don't move, people don't see you.
Don't see you. Yeah.
I mean, I've shown it over and over again. If you don't move and don't make noise, people don't see you. And that is exactly how they operate, you know? Mm-hmm. And humans are absolutely oblivious to their surroundings at any given time.
Unless it's going to be me or you.
Right. You know, I mean,
we're gonna see somebody squatting down, even if they're not moving, because we're
right. You know, yeah, because we've trained ourselves to pick up on the slightest little things. You know what I mean? Same thing with Lewis and same thing with Christy. When you're out in this topic, you learn things and
Oh,
you
yeah.
learn them very quickly, you know? I mean,
It's not only you learn things, it's when you have the ability that some people don't have. When you walk into the woods and you feel that something is not right, something is in a bad zone, that's
right,
when you get out.
right. And you being a hunter, Alan, you've developed that, you know, and I've heard that saying that hunters say, if it don't feel right, don't go.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's simple, and it's the same thing. It's that whole sixth sense. But I think, as for, you know, you saying, you know, people step off the trail and you watch me go in alone and stuff, I've been in areas that I am not allowed to go per my wife because of the stuff that has happened. And I think it all depends on the type that you're dealing with. And I think the type in that area that I'm not allowed to go anymore and the type that you're dealing with, it's in the same mountain range. Okay. And I think they're probably a type B where they're kind of a little bit aggressive, but they're kind of curious about, they're in the middle. You know what I mean? Whereas the ones I deal with at my area now are just curious. They have no intention on hurting me. They're just curious. So I think I have a type A. I think you're dealing with a type B, and then you get the type C, which is, you know, just we're gonna rip your head off if you come in here kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I think about that. Okay, like when I was growing up, I used to play a game with myself. Okay, I had 4 sisters and a brother, and then we camped with the guy that I was with and his family all the time. Like every weekend, we were up there all summer, and then right before deer season, then we were up there all the time, right? Well, I would play this game where I would leave camp, say, going west, and I would go out until I couldn't hear the camp, couldn't smell the camp, didn't, and then I would try it without a compass or anything, and then I would try to make a half circle all the way around and come in from like the east, exactly opposite. And it was hard at first, but I got pretty good at it. And I thought, okay, like I was doing that when I was 10, 8. And I got lost my first time when I was 5. And it took them a little while to find me, you know, but I was in the middle of the woods all by myself. And I didn't even know I was lost at first. But when it dawned on me, I was freaking out, you know. But I mean, until I saw the Bigfoot, I went out there all the time by myself. I would even go in the summertime with a camera and hunt with a camera, you know, look for deer and game and everything. And I would have a good camera. I went to Africa and I was doing the same thing in Africa, but, you know, with a camera. And if it was going to get me, it had plenty of it probably knew me or the whatever, however many were around there. They probably knew my family and us. In fact, the guy I was with when I saw the big one the first time, that was his 5th time seeing him. And I was like, how come you never told me that? You know, he told me, if you tell anyone that I saw that with you, I'll deny it you know, I'll deny it right in your face because I don't like being made fun of. I'm like, I don't care what people think. And people made fun of me like crazy. You know, this is the 80s.
You know, and now we're 2020 heading into 2021, and still to this day, I mean, I live in LA, you know, I mean, my area, I mean, you could see downtown LA from the top of the hill of where I go. There's houses and stuff all around. You see the traffic. And I know for a fact there's 4 of them there.
Right.
There's 4. They sit there and they just watch people. And there's never been an issue.
That you think for you, though.
For me, right. But that's
like research your area and see if people have come up missing over there or anything?
I have done extensive. The only thing there is about 3 sightings, and they were all from the late 70s and early 80s.
Wow.
That's it. No missing people, no missing dogs, no nothing. And it's just, again, like I say, it's the type you're dealing with, you know. And if, like you said, if they wanted to kill me, they could have. They've had plenty of chances to do so. You know, they've had plenty of chances to do so. But I think the ones that I deal with are just curious. They're more of, they want to make friends and stuff because they watch us all the time. And here's me coming around a bush, and I got too close. He growled at me. If he didn't growl at me, I'd still be just wandering around there. You know what I mean? And you know, they if they wanted to hurt me, they could have. You know, in that area, I'm not allowed to go into anymore.
See, like I'm native, but only I'm white and all that. But I'm also married into the tribe, and all my kids are card carrier, native. My wife, everybody, and because of that, and then I worked before I got hurt, I was the marketing director at the casino, the Indian casinos, and I also was the food and beverage director and the computer network director, and sometimes all 3 at the same time. You know, marketing, food and beverage, and everything. And but I know a lot of the tribes around here, and also the Cherokee tribe, and all the lore and stuff like that. And even though, like, they didn't trust me at first to tell me their Bigfoot lore here, or what
none of them do. They're just,
you
really got to earn their respect for them to come out and start talking about that topic.
Yeah, you know, and after a little while, I got to know the medicine man. I didn't even know he was the medicine man. He was my director of security, and he was also the medicine man. And when I found out he was the medicine man, I was like, dude, you know, I would take him in and buy him lunch in the buffet and stuff like that, and drill him, you know, all the time. Like, come on, man, you know.
Girl interrogation, got the light out. All right, what do you know? Tell me everything.
I'm not letting you out of here, dude. I'm going to handcuff you to the chair. But finally, he would just tell me, you know what? Don't look for him. You know, you don't know what you're doing. Don't look for him. Absolutely don't. You're an idiot, you know. And that's all he would tell me for the longest time. And then one day, he decided, okay, you know, he's going to tell me about the Bigfoot war that they had with them, where they were eating the babies and taking the children and the women and eating them and breeding them and all this stuff, you know. And he started telling me about that, and I started telling him about our spot, that, you know, our special spot we go to that has the gate closed right now. And then he told me, don't go there, because they had a powwow or a sit down with the head of the Bigfoot at the end of the war, when they made the truce between the Bigfoot and the human, you know, their tribe. And they sectioned off parts of the mountains, you know, like, okay, you could go over here and you can be in there and we'll leave you alone. And we won't go in your area if you don't go in our area, you know, we'll just stay apart like that. And come to find out, our special place is a place they don't go, because that was agreed to, like, and passed down forever, that you don't go
generation after generation. Yeah,
because that's their area. And when you go in there, there's trees knocked over. I mean, trees, big trees, 150 feet tall, you know, broken at 10 feet. And I mean, a lot of them. And I've even seen them go down right in the same spot. you hear it snapping, and then you look over and you see this whole tree falling down. And then 30 minutes later, another one in the same place, like right next to it. Like, what? First one's like coincidence. Second one's like, oh my, third one, then you're like, oh shit.
Third one, then you're going, wow, we don't even have any wind.
Yeah. Well, we knew we were over there, and
there's no wind. How is that happening?
We went over there and we started looking at the trees and stuff, and one of them, I have a video of it. The tree didn't fall there. It fell, I don't know, 50 feet away, but it was moved. And I mean, we're talking about something the size of a telephone pole, length and everything, right? And I mean, huge tree, huge. Not even more than 5 guys can't even pick it up. It would take a crane, to really
heavy equipment.
Well, it was like wedged between these 2 trees where it could climb up and see our camp. And all the branches are broke off and thrown in a pile next to it. It was like, okay, now the tree didn't fall and all the branches all fell in a pile right there. Right. I mean, and then when we figured out if it was up there, it could see our camp perfect. And that's why that tree was there, is because it wanted to see us.
You're talking about the size of the trees and stuff. I mean, I went up to that area I'm not allowed in no more, and I walked up a trail. I did a rock clack on it. I have it on video. The trail is perfectly clear. Okay. I walked up it. It was just like a natural drainage from the snow. And I walked up it, and, I went into the next cab, put a camera out there, and went back to get it the next morning, and had no recollection of where I put it. I thought I had put it down a little further down the canyon than I did the first one, not knowing that they'd come back up, gone over into the next I mean, I literally had to watch my own videos to figure it out. Well,
I've done that.
That section of memory that I'm missing was on that trail going into the next canyon. That I had to watch my own videos to figure out what I did. So we went back 6 weeks later, and it just so happened that section of trail is completely barricaded. I mean, we were talking 3-4 foot thick, 150 foot long,
right?
Old trees. These were dragged in and barricaded across that trail.
Yeah.
And I went,
they don't drag.
What the heck? And I got halfway through it, and right to my right, they put a watcher there. I got a growl, an instant branch break. Snap, And I just put my hands up. Hey, buddy. Just want my camera. A rock came thrown out. I threw the rock back, and a bigger rock came flying out a little closer to me, and I went, all right, I'm cool. You can have it. We're cool. But it was actually sitting there when I put that camera out. My wife was actually in the car in the parking lot, sicker than a dog. She had just come over, gotten really sick and wasn't feeling well. And she was a wonderful wife, waiting in the car with me with the dogs and stuff for me to go get my camera. And it's on video. It's called My Wife is the Best. I'm sitting in front of a pine tree in front of this meadow. And I remember thinking when I'm sitting there, before I had made this video, this looks like footprints. Hundreds, thousands of them everywhere. Like it's a little playground. And we're going from this big to that big.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And that was the canyon I put that camera on.
Oh, yeah. They didn't want that.
Yeah. So they barricaded it up on me.
Yeah.
And the camera's just a loss. I mean, it was a 360 trail cam. Because I know that, they come up behind the trail cams and mess with them. Yeah. We never get a good picture. So I got this 360. All right, full this. Sensors all the way around. camera flips around, takes a picture. That one gets triggered, flips around, takes it. Fool this one, guys. Yeah, they didn't have to fool the camera. They fooled me. I lost that one.
I was watching your videos and I was thinking they have Wi-Fi cameras now.
Right? Yeah. Wi-Fi cameras where it sends a picture right to your phone.
Right. And you could be at home and check that camera.
Right. I wish it was a Wi-Fi camera, you know? Unfortunately, it wasn't. It was just a 360 game cam, and
I would be putting some out there. Like I've been thinking about where we go with Lifted, and only thing is we don't got cell service right there.
I know. Yeah.
Even though we're in the valley and the valley floor, and
I don't have any cell service in my area either. I know of one little 1 foot spot where I can go and barely get some bars, and it's like almost everybody knows about that one little area. So I think that's why they congregate there, because as soon as they get there, they're all pulling out their phones and checking it. You know what I mean? It's like, everyone knows about that one little spot of service, you know. But if I take a foot out of it, then
they're probably walking around all.
Right.
Look, doing this number. You see me? Now you don't. See me? Now you don't.
Yeah, because we do that too. We'll go in areas where there isn't cell service, and then we got one guy walking around.
Yeah.
Looking for the spot, you know. Yeah. Standing in the back of the.
Wait! I got 2 bars right here. Don't move. Nobody breathe. You know,
it's sad. And I want to use. That's some equipment I want to try, and I have a place right now that for like 6 years been getting people telling me they're hearing things and seeing things, and the cops are saying they're get called out there, and it's in the city. It's in a little town, and the river runs through it. And that one guy, showed me a video of a white one, and I've been tracking this white one for, I don't know, 25 years.
Wow.
Hearing about it, people telling me about this white one. The tribal members told me about the white one, and I guess it was where I lived at that I thought there was no Bigfoots around there. That white one was around there, and I learned that even though I was in the foothills, not in the mountains, I thought they were always in the mountains. But I found out they're not. They're all over the place. Wherever they want to be at is where they are,
I learned that very quickly in this adventure, is that, one, you don't need to go way out in the woods to find them. They're literally in our backyards. And 2, they're anywhere and everywhere they want to be.
Yeah.
So, I've said that for years.
We've been finding tracks in orchards, and especially oranges, citrus. And at first I thought they like citrus, like they're in there for the vitamin C or whatever, But after a few years of finding the tracks in there and hearing the stories of people seeing them coming in and out of there, it started dawning on me, when we would go through there, I don't hike a lot. So I'll stay back at the car, and I'll fleur everyone going out, in the dark into this orange grove, and they disappear within one tree line completely. I can't see the heat signature on the fleur. I can't see them. Even in the day, they can be one row in and be totally disappeared. And then it started dawning on me, like, wait a minute. They're not there for the oranges.
They're there for the cover.
They can be in there all the time and avoid everyone, even the guys working in there. But every once in a while they get caught, because that's who tells me, In fact, one time, we call him Keith the farmer. He has lemons, and 5 of them were in his area. And we were getting reports of this 5 other places around there. So, he had no idea about the 5, how many there were and how tall and all that. And then he was only like 3 miles away from the last sighting of the 5 that we took over this 3 or 4 year period. And it ran from his orchard to tangerines on another property next to him. Go ahead. Oh, that's funny. I can't shut the camera off, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. For a second. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
Christy, I will be right back.
go ahead.
It's off. See, right now it's off. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you could turn the camera off and you could turn it back on.
Well, I seen it going off and on, but I never knew. My wife doesn't like to be on the camera. I don't know why.
Aww.
My grandkids love it, though. Oh, my God. If they knew I was doing this, they would be over here
like that in a snap, huh?
They want to do their own YouTube channel. And
call it the Squatchies.
well, I have that one, but they want to do, like, one of them wants gaming. Play games. Okay. But he's only 9. And his mom's like, hey, no, my daughter won't let him be on camera.
Well, let me ask you. You said you got a FLIR. Okay, I have a FLIR that attaches to my phone, and it does pretty good. But the batteries would die real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find. I actually did. I went out on a expedition, and I actually got something on FLIR. You could see that it was a face standing behind a tree. And it's weird.
Oh, wow. See, so far I haven't caught anything, I think.
It's like its arm was like looking over the tree because we heard it. I don't remember how many yards away it was, but we heard it crunch, 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 crunch. He's like, get the FLIR, and I'm looking and I seen something. I'm like, ooh, I see. It looks
something. Like it's peeking, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it's. See, it looks like an arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the arm and there's the head and like there's the body.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
I need to go over mine. Like I don't have the phone one. Oh, okay, I'm turning it off. Sorry. Yeah, she can't hear either. She only could hear me because it's all in the headset.
Right.
So she has no idea what anybody else is saying yet.
Right.
I thank Trump for my FLIR. When he sent the money, we paid off our phones and I bought a FLIR, and because I've tried everything, and over 30 years as technology came and went, like game cameras and you name it, the game cameras. Oh man, between me and my friend, I had already decided the game cameras don't work, and I stopped. I lost them more than anything, and I was putting them where you can't lose them, and they were the first ones to kind of so they weren't all that great. But only that they would disappear, flat out disappear, and I was going in the woods where I know there wasn't humans, and they were still disappearing. And I even chained them with bicycle locks and stuff like that, and it didn't matter. I was still losing them. And I would find them crushed.
Ooh.
And then I would take the SD card out, and it was still good, but it would have all kinds of weird anomaly pictures. And then my computer crashed, and I learned, and I should have known. I didn't back none of it up. I don't have anything to prove it at all. And all the regular film shots that I had, I lost everything, like a dummy.
Yeah.
Here I am, the computer network guy at the casino, backing everything up, don't back my own stuff up.
Right. Speaking of game cameras, I mean, I quit using game cameras also years ago because they don't work. I mean, my father-in-law's property in northern Idaho, and he's got little hills. He's got 10 acres out in the middle of the woods. I mean, we're literally an hour and 20 minutes away from the Canadian border. But we're up in the Panhandle. There's little hills on either side, probably 60 feet tall, and he's got half of the first floor is sunk into the ground.
Cool.
So the windows are like ground level when you're outside.
That's
and
cool.
The deck is over, so I've got like a 7 foot spot underneath the deck with the railing around it underneath, and I just sit there and I'd scan and stuff like that, just go around the bushes. That's where I had my first sighting. But it was having a bunch of, you can hear it running back and forth on one hillside. So I next morning put the game camera out, put some apples up on a tree stump, facing that. Next night, all right. Let's see if they get it. You know what I mean? No, they're on they're on the other hill on the other side of the property, running back and forth, making all kinds of noise. Next day, I put it over there. Well, that next night, they're back over on the other side. They know what they are.
Yeah.
And I'm just, after about the fifth night, I'm going, I'm done.
Yeah.
Keep the apples. I'm taking my camera. We're done.
Yeah, I don't have the cards anymore. In fact, they would be so old that they probably wouldn't even work in modern stuff right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like the original slow 2 megabyte, like megabytes. They were 256 megabytes or something like that.
Right. They weren't even gigs.
But only like now, when I hooked up with Jeff and Paranormal Central crew, Jeff had really bought into the cameras pretty big, and we started off, we were just putting one camera, and I didn't have no faith in it. I already, and I wasn't surprised we didn't get anything but bear and deer and stuff like that all the time. But then he started having the same problems where we would lose the camera, and he was an ATT or is an ATT tech, so he would climb the trees and put them way up there, like 20 feet. So we know, nobody's climbing up there and taking them, but we're still losing the cameras, right? Still losing.
Right.
So then he bought more of them, and we started doing camera tracks, like
watching one. That's actually what BLM in land management does.
We started doing that, and all of them 20 feet up. 18 feet, and we would put a pile of apples, and the apples would have little stickers on them, and I never really thought about the stickers, until we found this place that's now burned, but we got the cards off of it, and I was going through them in the laptop, and at the same time, Stan, all the cameras malfunctioned.
Okay, at all the exact same time.
Yeah, and they all of them have the pile of apples, and they're all, a crow came in and checked out the apples and didn't touch them though. And then there was dark, nothing, 6 or 7 shots on just black, right? Nothing in each camera. And then all of a sudden they all started working again at the same time again. A deer walks through, right? And then it takes pictures. All of them take pictures of the deer, but only the apples are gone. So we go over there and we realize there's a pile of stickers right where the pile of apples were. So whoever ate the apples piled the stickers up, the little stickers.
It certainly wasn't a deer.
No, and it wasn't a human either. I mean, this is not where humans go, and then all of a sudden, we where we were putting them, right next to it, we thought was an ambush place the Bigfoot would use to ambush animals, because there was these huge trees, and it made like a half a corral.
Yeah, it was a kill box.
Yeah, and there was one big one, 3 feet tall or around, laying like towards the back end of this corral where they could hide behind it and then jump out.
Yep.
We never found any bones or anything right there, but as soon as I walked in there, I knew what I was in. You know what I mean? I got a feeling. I'm like, oh my God, this is this is where they hunt.
Right.
So we started putting cameras in there, and we really started. I think we got the side of a face of one, a small one, by accident, and then with the camera started coming up destroyed. I mean, completely destroyed, then missing, and then the whole thing got destroyed. The whole, and it looked like humans did it, like destroyed this place where they were, and we started realizing that we were talking about these things on the internet and where we were going and stuff like that, and the rangers were coming in or soldiers or something, and they were destroying and killing these things and emptying the area and destroying everything, that all the structures and everything they built. They destroyed them with chainsaws, cut them all up.
Yep.
But they didn't take the wood. It wasn't somebody going after wood. They were just destroying it.
Right.
And it always was after a few weeks after we were going in there. And but still, like, there's a park over here called Avocado Lake, and
Right.
a lot of people drown in this lake all the time. I mean, it's notorious as being the lake to drown in, and it's right across from Keith the Farmer's. And we had been getting reports of people fishing and rocks, big boulders being thrown, like basketball size, and splashing next to them and stuff in the river and in the lake. The river runs right next to it. And we started getting that. So we started checking it out and going in there and sharing the videos on YouTube. And next thing we know, the park's shut. Closed down like right before Halloween a couple of years ago, and then didn't open until after Easter. So it was like closed all the way down for months. But at that time, they mowed everything down where you can't hide in there. You could see all the way across, and it wasn't like that.
I think Cryptid 559 has all of that documented on his channel.
Yeah.
He was going in there and stuff and documenting stuff, and all of a sudden he's just like, I don't know what it is, but I can't get in there. And by the time he was able to get in there, everything was clean.
Yeah.
They just went in and cleaned everything up, But I mean, he's got that picture, that video of him standing there, doing his thing. You could see something back there by the trees behind him.
And you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at how populated that is, where he's standing.
Oh, I'm not amazed. I mean, you've seen how populated my area is. So
this is like 10 times more popular.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a little park.
Yeah.
That everybody goes hiking in and walking in, and I was gonna fly my drone in there, and I did. The rangers are in the people. There's a dam right there, and that dams up the Kings River.
Right.
And I was gonna fly, and this is just right across from the dam, right by the bridge. I mean, where everybody's fishing and picnicking and all this stuff. I mean, right out there. And I asked her about flying the drone, because I didn't know, like, some places you can't fly them.
Right.
Like, I'm glad you asked, because that's a $25,000 fine, and we took the drone.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
It's the same thing at my area too. I mean, not where I park now. There's no signs, and I've actually have seen people fly drones coming in from that. But if I park elsewhere, it is a no drone zone.
Right.
You know, in there's a small reservoir, you know, but it just, I used to ride my mountain bike there when I was younger. We're talking 25, 30 years ago. And I mean, I've got thousands and thousands of hours logged in on a mountain bike up there. I mean, that's what I did, you know what I mean? And before I had the Bigfoot bug, and it never even occurred to me. I mean, but
Right.
at the same time, you know, I'm going 25, 35 miles an hour down these trails. I ain't got time to stop and smell the roses, you know what I mean? So, but now, I mean, it's just, now that I go up there and I'm into the topic and I've got some experience under my belt, I know what to look for, you know what I mean? It just amazes me, just the blatant signs that are literally right there in front of everybody's face, and people just go walking right by it.
Oh, they're oblivious.
Usually like this.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, good Lord, you didn't see that 12-inch branch coming over the thing that's literally broken, twisted, and bent back into the other branch right there?
It's amazing that they're lucky. They're really lucky that you got nice ones.
Yeah, I am very fortunate because I have been in, like I said, that area I'm not allowed to go in anymore. I mean, I can guarantee it, they'll remember me if I went into that area, and I probably won't come walking out of that place.
Probably not.
There's already been, the reason I'm not allowed in that place anymore, per my wife, and I don't blame her for this at all, is because literally directly in the middle of the spot I was going, 2 bodies were found.
Oh, great.
And we're talking, one was a local person who lived up there and has lived up there their entire life, and his girlfriend. And they were happy couple, no fighting, no nothing, no history of drugs, weapons, or anything like that. Just found dead. And I was actually covering the story, and nothing was really said about it. There was a couple of blurbs online, and it wasn't until they said special investigators had been assigned to the case. After that, everything went black.
Whoa.
All those videos were taken down, everything on Facebook, everything on the news, it just went black after special investigators were assigned to the case.
Yeah.
And they never came out and said they died because of this. They never said any of that. It was just swept under the rug. It'll go away. And that was it.
We've had things like that happen. Like I was telling you, things get shut down and then destroyed. When we finally get back in there, everything's destroyed.
Yeah.
Then that one says, what made me think they were more than flesh and blood? I did like what I was saying about the disappearing footprints, you know, the like at the end and stuff like that. There is one other one. My aunt just passed a month and a half ago, but a year or so ago, you know, she was like a hippie chick, and real cool and real spiritual person, you know, into that real
down to earth kind of person. Yeah. Love the earth and hug the trees and kind of stuff.
Well, she had the spirit guides and all this stuff, right? I mean, she was way into it. And one day that I was getting ready to go, we had our annual Memorial Day trip coming up, when I was packing for it for a week. And she had been staying here visiting my mom, her sister. And we were sitting on the porch, and it was, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night in the summer. And she's telling me, so have you ever asked them permission to go in their house where they live? I was looking at her, you know, like, what? Like, that's my woods as much as their woods. You know, she says, not really. That's where they live. You know, you don't live there. You're visiting there.
Yeah.
And then I reminded her that, you know, all my life I've been going up there like that's like a tradition we do that. At least I'm not going with rifles and taking it for food, I guess. Well, then she says, well, you can talk to him from here. I was looking at her like, what are you talking about? She says, just ask them permission if you can go to their house, So I'm like, okay, whatever. Hey, Bigfoot, can I go to your house? And she's like, no, don't say it with your mouth. Say it in your head. And I was like, okay. And I did it. I asked him. And I heard a voice, a male voice. And, I can't remember what it said because it shocked me so bad. And right after that, a female laughed at what the male voice said. I was like, what the heck what's playing tricks on me, And I looked at her and she was just smiling at me. So we had a conversation I did anyways, with these two, a female and a male, supposedly a Bigfoot, right? And I still don't know, but only we got in quite the conversation, and they were showing me, the web of life, how
everything is connected
and all this stuff, and they were actually showing me in my mind, my brain. And then, my aunt interrupted. She says, well, let's get back on topic, about, and I wasn't saying anything to my aunt, so I have no idea what, like, how did she figure out we're not on topic or something like that? Like, let's get back to you need permission. Do you need permission to go to where you're going? So then I asked them, and then they said, well, you have permission. Can we have permission to go in your house? It was like, wait a minute. And in my mind, I said, no, you can't. Because I believe in God, and I pray all the time, and I died and went to heaven and came back. So I know what's out there right on the other side. And I pray all the time that these evil beings can't come on my property line to property line. I put a hedge around my house, and nothing can come on my property because we have authority, and they don't have permission. They can't come in. That's just how it is. Well, they asked me permission. It was like, if you have to ask me permission, then you're not good. So no, And then my aunt's like, why did you tell him that? And now I'm talking in my head, okay, not with my mouth. How did she know I even said that? So and then I was done right then, like, okay, I'm done. I went in the house. I was all tripping out, like, what in the world? And then that just made it more like, I listened to Dr. Matthew Johnson and his Janu stuff and all this stuff. And I even talked to Steve Bachman, the guy that invented the machine that opened the portal that we talk all the time. I haven't talked to him recently, but he's trying to talk me into, they're all Janu, and he's heard me say that I think they might be Nephilim or something like that, and so he's always trying to talk me into the Matthew Johnson thing, but I and I'm all tripping out. I'm telling him, look, dude, so Matthew Johnson's number 13 of the 12. Have you ever heard of the 12 before? Like, who had 12? And then Matthew Johnson's the +1 13, and I think they lie. I think they're telling you anything to get in your head or get it permission or whatever, and but only I respect Steve and what he says and what he's told me, and I believe he believes everything that he says. Only I'm not there yet. I'm just not there. Have I encountered black trucks? Yes, and white vans, lots of them. And what we do, because we, as a Paranormal Central, been at it for 11 years or something like that. I was doing TV and documentaries and all that with Paranormal Central, and we were worldwide. We had 300 and some odd thousand, almost 400,000 followers. But we were also being followed by, like, if you go on Nat Geo and you type in man, it's a chasing UFOs show, and they came here because we got reports of a crashed triangle, and we went on it, we rolled on it, and all night long it crashed like the evening. And then we're on while we're rolling out there, Jeff has the phone and we're talking to him, and they're telling us what it's doing, the people that are observed it crash, and also it was trying to take off and it was shaking and it kept falling back to ground. By the time we got there, it was dark. I didn't stay out there all night, but Jeff stayed out there all night, and by morning everything was gone. But there was trucks and people, and you could see welding and all kinds of stuff all night. But by morning, there was nothing there. And the Chasing UFO crew came. Now, I'm not on that show, but I worked for the Nat Geo guy, the crew. I worked for the Nat Geo while they're here. I work for the cable companies when they come, anything paranormal or Bigfoot or whatever. They come to my area and they call me in advance, and I look for locations, permits. I take pictures of everything and then send it to them and say, does that look like where you want to be at? Stuff like that. And then we finally,
you were a scout.
Yeah. And we nail it all down, and then they fly out with their crew.
Right.
But because of the UFO stuff, and maybe the Bigfoot too, we're being followed by the white vans. You could go on Paranormal. I think it's Paranormal Central has a video of the white vans. I might have it on I uploaded a bunch of stuff to YouTube, but Jeff told me when I separated from him, like TV and internet wise, he told me I can't share the videos anymore because he has them copywritten. And so he doesn't want me sharing all these old shows, almost 500 shows, videos.
Right.
So but only I turn them on every once in a while. I'll turn one on, and like a flash, what do you call it? A blast from the past type thing, and I could turn that one on for a little while, and you could see the white vans where these people got abducted, and we went to check on them, and Jeff drove out there, and there was a white van across the street, and he parked and was videoing the white van, and then some cars went by and a truck went by, and then there was two of them side by side, exactly identical. And sure, yeah, we get them, white trucks and vans, and it's kind of a trip. And since I left Paranormal Central, as a behind, on the camera type thing with Jeff, it's slowed down for me. My phone's quit messing up, clicking and cutting off, and people calling me and then hanging up and all that kind of stuff. That all stopped pretty much now for me. I don't know about Jeff. We still go out though, we still have the team. We go sasquatching. I go out if they get calls. I just don't do, like, I'm disabled, and he thinks I'm too disabled because I don't hike and stuff like that. But he thinks I'm not. I can't keep up with the schedule. He's right. It's grueling when the camera crew shows up. It's 2 weeks of 16-hour days until they're gone. And it is hard for me, And then he wants to be on TV as well, doing Paranormal Central. And he makes the same kind of shooting schedule. I don't know why, that, like, you could take your time if you want to and edit and all this stuff. But he's like, he makes all these deadlines and everything and it was like, why did you make that deadline like that? We've been talking about it for 3 years. All of a sudden, everything has to be done in 2 weeks. Like, why?
Right. You know, you're trying to cram 3 years into 2 weeks. It don't work that well. Kind of like fitting a square peg in a round hole. So, you'd have to get the big hammer out and try and make it work. But
there was one more thing on the paranormal thing. Because I died and been on the other side, I learned some things about the paranormal, like ghosts. They're not ghosts. Okay, there's no spirits running around. It's not your mom. It's not your uncle. It's not your dad. It's none of those. They aren't there. They already know that you're going to be where they are in no time to them. Okay, because there's no time. Okay. It seems like a long time to us. We might be here 20, 30 years, before we move on to the next realm. Well, since I learned this, and we would do UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoots, pterodactyls. I mean, like anything paranormal, we would roll on it, right? And we did a lot of haunted stuff and he was doing it before I even came along, really. But after I came along, there was no sense in doing it, because when I would go in there, I would feel sorry for the people that live there, that they're being haunted like that. And lots of times it's bad, really bad. Bad things happen. The families are fighting, all kinds of negative all over the place, and I would go in there and I would cast out. I would have to get permission from the owner, the person renting it or owning the house, to get rid of it, but I could get rid of it. And a lot of times people would hear it screaming as it would go out, leave. And then they would tell me, hey, my house smells like roses for like 2 weeks after you left, and we haven't argued, and sometimes it would be attached to a family member. And I would tell them, like, if the family member doesn't want to be like cleaned of this or cleared of it, there's only two things that could happen, right? They're going to get cleared of it and want it gone from them, or when you agree with me that they can't be on your property, anywhere on your property, they're going to leave. And it won't be long. It'll be within a day. They'll leave and they won't come back. And because they're attached to this. And so then if we stop doing those things, we would only go out to get rid of demonic activity, which people, all the ghost stuff is demonic activity. And I have lots of friends that they're into it, the ghost hunting thing, and they argue with me, but only, until you die and go on the other side and get to know anything you want to know, you just ask and you also travel at the speed of thought. So like if you want to be on Alpha Centauri, you just think about Alpha Centauri, bam, you're there. And when you want to be back to where you were, you just think back where you were, bam, you're there. I mean, like, no, you didn't travel for hours, not even a blink. It's faster than a blink. So, like, that's where I'm at now and I don't know the Bigfoot. I think that most of the time they are in the realm of where we can't see them. And when they want to be seen, that's when they let you see them. I don't know, but just like.
I absolutely agree with you. So there's a lot more to this world than what we see with our own eyes.
We'll see, like on the ghost, how they trick you. They're called familiar spirits. You can look in the Bible; it talks all about it. It's called familiar spirits. But that's how they trick you to be in your house. Hey, I smell like Grandpa's cigar. And then they're like, hey, Grandpa's around. Hey, Grandpa. And they're talking to him. And they invite the Grandpa in. But they don't realize this demon attached to their family, I don't know, 5 centuries ago, maybe 1,000 years ago, onto your family. And then they've been with your family. They know everything about you and your family. Everything about you. They've been with every one of your family for ages, from the time they were born till the time they died. And they know everything. They know what triggers you, and they know how to get permission to come in. And that's their big trick right there. Is, I'm your grandma. Hey, your grandma is somewhere that there's no darkness, there's no shadows. They can know anything they want. If they want to know what you're doing, they can think about it, and they know everything about what you're at and what you're doing. They don't worry about that you're going to die or everything's going okay with you, because you're going to be over there not in a long time. Right? And these things know that, and they know. And once they're gone, you'd be surprised how better everything will get in your life, that you don't realize what they're doing in your world, to you. But it isn't your grandma. Your grandma is experiencing something so, like, I want to be there right now myself right now. And I wouldn't worry about my kids or my wife or anything, because it's cool. It's like, and I know they're all going to be there. If I died tomorrow, they would all be there in a few years anyway. So what am I worried about? This life is nothing. In fact, if you read the Bible says, don't worry anything about this world. Just seek after God, and all these things will be added to you. Right? So think about that. You like stew on that. Think about it. Like, research that, and you'll see what I'm saying. And I didn't mean to go off on that, but it's paranormal. Everything's paranormal, that to me. Even that we're living and breathing is paranormal. Like,
well, I mean, look up the definition of paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a broad definition. It says anything that we can't explain.
Right.
Whether it be Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, whatever. It's just a broad spectrum, and it's just a generalized term for paranormal, for something that is not explainable.
Right.
That's all it is. It covers the whole broad spectrum of everything.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Bigfoot falls underneath that. You know what I mean? It's in that category. Loch Ness Monster is in the same category. These pterosaurs, or these, thunderbirds, or petrodactyls, whatever, it's the same thing. We can't explain it, but yet people are coming up with this evidence.
Down where you're at, I get calls all the time. Like in those mountains that you're in, I don't know exactly, but in the San Gabriel Mountains and stuff like that, there's a lot of pterodactyl sightings over there along the I-5 going over the Great
I-5. Yep.
Yeah, there's UFO city, man.
That whole mountain range is just filled with just stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't go. If you research that mountain range, no, I mean there's okay. You'll notice that there's sections. Okay, You'll get a section of this mountain range where a lot of Bigfoot sightings are, and then a little further north you'll see big pterosaur, big bird sightings, and then you'll get, as you move up, you get different sightings, and as you get more, when you get up north and stuff, it'll go back to the Bigfoot. A lot of Bigfoot sightings here, I mean, you get these real generalized grouping of sightings once you start, researching that mountain range. And what people don't understand is that mountain range is literally 2 hours away from downtown LA. It's not far.
Right.
And that mountain range goes all the way down into Mexico, all the way up to Washington.
Yeah, it's the San Andreas Fault runs right through the middle of it. I lived down there when I was a kid. My dad, he drove buses, and he got a job with the airport, driving the airport bus. And a lot of times I would ride with him. We'd just go around and around and around the airport. But there was other runs like the Santa Monica and where you could take the airport bus to different hotels, you know.
Right.
And then he did some tours. So I like been to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farms a million times, right? For free, just riding with groups that would be going, that he would be taking. But we lived down there, and we actually went all the way down to Coachella. And we lived in Coachella 68, somewhere in there. And there was a big earthquake. And I mean, the trees were going like that, and everything was falling off the walls. And we weren't very far from the Salton Sea. Then we moved into LA, and he started working out still at the same job. But only, I don't know why we went all the way south, because he would do a lot of border stuff, like from LA to Highlight games down in Mexico.
Right.
So it was like an in-between spot for him. We moved into LA, and then there was in 70, I think it was 70 or 71, one of them, there was a huge earthquake. All the overpasses fell down, you know, and it was like, oh, we're out of here, you know. And that's when we moved back up into Central California, back into the Yosemite, and he went back to driving the bus from Yosemite to Merced and back, following 120 along the Merced River. And I liked it better. You know, we were back in my home area, you know. I didn't feel comfortable down there. But lots of people. Even back then, the freeways have been packed. You know, 5 o'clock.
Even worse now.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. You don't want to be out there now. Actually, no time. Every time I go down there, it's always packed. The 405 or whatever.
Oh. Yeah, we call the 405 a parking lot now.
It pretty much is. Like you're on a motorcycle.
You know, I mean, I gotta take the 405 to get to my area, and early in the morning it's not a problem. I mean, it's literally like a 20-minute drive, but on my way home it could take me upwards of an hour and a half to go 20 miles. Wow. You know what I mean? So, you know, it just, I mean, I've done research on my area, and I've done research on the other San Gabriel Mountains and everything. And my first question was, how would they get from that mountain range over there, which I know they are, over to where I'm at now? Well, it's a simple solution. If you look at, they come to a V with a simple freeway going right through the middle of it, and it's called the Grapevine. You do that at night, you've never seen. It's a very simple solution. And I was like,
and if they can be like invisible, they can cross the freeway. You know,
and as fast as they are, I mean, well, and like I said, people are just oblivious to their surroundings at any given time. If you take your eyes and look at the clock on your car, gone.
Right.
Across the freeway. Done. Like that. You know, it's all it takes. You know, just to glance over, look at the clock on your car. And that's it. So.
Wait, hold on. Tony Hill's got a question. Oh, Crow Creek Cryptid.
Crow Creek Cryptid. On many things occupying the same space and time. Yeah, you know, like.
I think there's many things occupying the same space, but I think the whole time thing is just thrown out the window.
Yeah. I've interviewed and I became friends with time travelers. Like, and you know, people think I'm crazy, but I thought they were crazy at first, you know, like William Stillings. I still talk to him all the time. Not so much Andrew Basiago anymore, but I'm still in pretty much contact with William Stillings. And, you know, they claim they were really ticked off. There's 3 of them. They didn't even, they had lost touch. They did this when they were kids. and they lost touch. And then when they were adults, one of them went on to onto Coast to Coast and was talking about it, and the other ones heard it, and then they had like a big reunion when they were adults and sharing stories, but their mind were white, so they wouldn't remember, but they remembered, right? And they even said that Obama, who is Barry Soetoro or something like that, at the time was with them, doing these time jumps and traveling to Mars and stuff like that through these tunnels. I mean, I'm still like, okay, but I believe him. I mean, the dude is just like my buddy Adolf, the 101102. I believe the aliens took him. I don't believe aliens are aliens, though. I believe that they are here, and they're just lying to us. They've been here. They're ancient aliens. They're probably just something else. They didn't come from Alpha Centauri or whatever. They were here for a long time.
Who knows? Earth may have been called Alpha Centauri way, 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 way back then.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't have any record of it, and if we do, it just gets swept under the rug and hidden from us. So
when you start researching these alien things, they tell stories like back along, in the 50s and 40s, they were from Mars. And that's what they told you too. And they abducted people. They came from Mars or they came from Venus. Well, now that we've been over there and we sent ships around and take pictures and everything like that, now they're way out there, right? Now they're saying they're coming from, light years away, and their story keeps changing. So what's the truth? See, that's all what I'm all about is I want to find out the truth. That's all. I want to know the truth about the Bigfoot. I want to know the truth about the aliens. I want to know. And I don't know about being in the same space and time. I'm sure the Bigfoot were right next to me within 3 feet messing with a microphone. And I was looking at it and, I couldn't see him. So I don't know where they were. Actually, they were there, but I don't know, how'd they do that? I don't know.
Right. And I mean, we've got places like DARPA and CERN screwing around with stuff that they shouldn't be screwing around with. You know what I mean? And
Well, I have a video on my Facebook. If you go in there, and I put it a long time ago, it's something William Stillings sent me, and it's a tunnel. It's a time tunnel. He says they ran through it and go to a different time. And then I ask him, like, why, if you traveled time, okay, so say you went back to the Gettysburg Address, okay, and you're hanging out with George Washington or something, I don't know. But say you went to hang out with George Washington and tell him some stuff about what's going to happen to him. So give him a heads up, And how do you get back? If the tunnel that you ran through dropped you out in that time, where do you go to get back? Where? And he said, it's like a timer. You only have so long, and then you just disappear, and then you're back. You just like automatically poof back to where your time is.
That's odd.
Yeah, tell me about it.
That's
hitting it. Yeah, it's like a trip, man. And I have a lot of stuff I can't even share that I've been sworn to not talk about, but I'm talking about quite a bit, and everybody wants more.
I mean, it's all. I mean, right now, you've experienced stuff, I've experienced stuff, Christy's experienced stuff, and we can tell our stories.
Yeah.
But that's all they are to other people is stories. Until they experience it themselves, It's just a story, unfortunately. Right. But when you get deeper into it and you start hearing hundreds, if not thousands of people saying the same story in different areas of the entire world, then you might want to start paying a little more attention to it, because there's something to it. Not everyone telling that story can be crazy. You know what I mean? So
if you listen to like Matthew Johnson, the Janu, live in trees, any trees. It could be the tree in your front yard. Like you could be in the middle of LA with a camphor tree or something,
right.
And it's living in there and it's knowing what's going on and
like I said, they can be anywhere and everywhere they want to be.
Yeah.
Simple as that. There's too much stuff in this world, in this life.
It just can't be on my property, because I told them no. They could be across the street, and a lot of people are telling me like, what makes you think that you can do that? Right? They tell like you can make things get off your property. And okay, my son had a girlfriend, and they were always fighting. Okay. I mean, always. And this girl was evil, that's all I could say is like, she's evil. So one day I'm in the house and I'm out on my porch, sitting out on my porch, and they're in the living room and they are freaking going at it, and I had enough, and they're living with me, right? Living with me. And I just say this little prayer, the spirit of rage and jealousy and all these different spirits that are behind this stuff. You can't be on my property, from property line to property line. You got to get off my property now. It wasn't even 30 seconds. My front door flew open. The girl runs all the way out to the curb, and then starts pacing back and forth along the curb, yelling at my son, saying, "Come out here and fight like a man," And I was like, wow,
That's interesting, given the fact of what you just said.
Now, when I looked in the window, and my wife and my son are like, what the heck is going on? Like, what is she doing out there? Because she didn't come back for several weeks. She would drop off their son, and she would not come on the property. Then one day, my wife invited her back. She says, "Come on in," and then she was back. Okay. So then I'm where I am now in my room, and I had a desk, and I was working on some videos and stuff like that. And here they go arguing again. And then I have like a little cubby hole in my room. It was like a closet, and they took the wall out. So it's like a little cubby. It fits a desk perfect. I can get in there and get my work done, and nobody bothers me and stuff. Well, I'm sitting in there, and I hear him going off and the cussing and throwing things and stuff like that. I'm like, worked last time, So
let's try this again.
Right? I did it again. I don't know what happened. I went right back to work. The noise stopped. I was like, okay, and I got back to doing what I was doing, and then my wife peeks around the corner, and she's like, "So did you pray her gone again?" She goes, "You need to come out here." So I go out in the living room, and they're all out. They're all looking out the window at the curb, and I look, and this time, she's not at the curb. This time she's all the way across the street, on the corner across the street. And she's yelling at everybody over there and cussing and screaming. And she never came back after that. My wife learned, don't invite her on the property, right? She could not come on our property. It was amazing. And then I learned, that's when I started really learning that you have more control than you think of this world, this spirit realm thing. And if you research it and you learn about it, you can change things, for the better for you, really.
Right.
It's really interesting. Honestly. And I'm being straight up honest. I've talked about this on several videos, even in my own channel. You can go over and find those videos I've talked about that a lot. And what happened to me in Africa, like if you really want to hear some really weird stuff, that's where I learned a lot of it over there, is dealing with the hoodoo voodoo stuff. And I learned, that's when I started realizing, these things are real. This crap is real,
There's a lot more to it than what you think there is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, that goes for everything,
I live in New Orleans, so we have the voodoo and the hoodoo here.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that, like that, the first time I was dealt with it was I was in Ghana, and all the beaches were called Pleasure Beach, and nobody wore clothes. I mean, I didn't care if you're from Germany, America, nobody wore clothes, right? So we were out in the jungle for like 2 weeks, and the car, it was all dirt roads, and the car had holes in the floorboard. So as we were driving, it had red dirt, and it was blowing up in this hole in the car. So we were riding around like this so we could breathe and stuff like that, and wetting down cloth and putting over our face. I had red dirt all over me. I looked red. My hair was red. Everything was red. And when we got to the city called Lagos, or no, Accra. We went to Lagos later. That was in another country. But we were driving by the beach, and I'm like, driver, hey man, stop! I'm gonna go take a bath right now out there. Like, I'm gonna jump in the ocean, and nobody cares, like I didn't think I'm not gonna get totally nude. I'll wear my chonies and I'll run out there, and get washed off and get back in the car. Because we weren't gonna stop at the hotel. We were going to a whole nother area for another 300 miles or something like that. And I just wanted to get clean. So he stops. He didn't say nothing. And I started stripping down and running down the beach to the ocean. And next thing I know, I hear this big commotion behind me. And I look behind me, and they are chasing me. And they got guns. And one of them fired one in the air. This stopped me cold. I was like, wait, whoa,
Just going to the water to get cleaned up. What's going on?
Said, and they got to me, and he's like, hey, nobody goes in the water on Tuesday. I'm like, what? I go, I just need a bath. I go, look at me, man. I'm just going to go rinse off. He goes, nobody goes in the water on Tuesday. That's
weird.
The witch put a curse on Tuesday. And if you get in the water, all the fish will go away for a whole year, and they'll all starve. So you're not getting in the water. I'm like, I'm American. I don't believe that. I'm just going to go. And I turned around, and it was like, okay, all right. And I gathered my clothes. The next day I came back. They decided it was so late that we're going to stay in a hotel for a night. And the next time I came back, and I was in the water having a good old time with these kids and some of these French girls. And it was so fun. But it was okay that day.
That's weird.
I mean, that was my first run-in with hoodoo voodoo stuff. And then as we traveled across Africa, and we met tribe, kings and stuff like that in the different tribes, I learned a lot more about that and demonic activity and stuff like that, about how they control the spirits.
Ooh.
So, I mean, you spent time in Africa. They got anything like Bigfoot there?
Well, I don't know. It was before my Bigfoot days.
Oh, before you got the Bigfoot bug?
In fact, the same year that I went to Africa was the same year I saw Bigfoot. When I came back from traveling across the world, I saw Bigfoot. It was like paranormal year of my life, and I didn't know what I was doing or anything. I had no idea what was really going on. All I knew was something was going on with me. I was like in a learning thing, and I had no idea what I was doing or anything like that. Like, really? I was with these 7 preacher guys. They paid me to travel around with them, and it was good money, so I did. But I learned a lot about Christianity because I didn't grow up in church. So I learned a lot from them. And that's why I saw all the stuff in Africa and some other stuff, like some other experiences that got me in trouble by all the preachers. And you can go find that video on my YouTube channel called Squatch Zone. I have it there. Out of, I don't know, 100 and something videos I got.
And, well, we're going on almost 2.5 hours here, buddy.
It's fun.
That's all right,
guys. You know,
that's
do
awesome.
it again, man. You just let me know anytime. You know.
Yes,
Absolutely. It's a pleasure talking to you. I mean, you've definitely been literally around the world and definitely experienced just about everything there is to experience out there. And to be quite honest with you, I am surprised you're not sitting in a straitjacket in a padded room somewhere trying to figure all this out.
Put me there, you know. I'm sure
You know?
But if you go, like, if you've been following me for the last 10 years, you know I've been all over the TV, all over the cable, all over the Bigfoot world. We've got DNA from the Bigfoots. We've been doing a lot of. I've been doing a lot of stuff, you know.
Oh yeah. You definitely experienced in that topic for sure.
You wanted to know about Africa, Duke World Bigfoot Radio? He just told you what's out there in Africa. Tano John in Southeast Africa.
I believe it. When I'll tell you, when I was out there, I was a cameraman. I got hired. This church was spending money, like in all these areas in Africa, and they want to know how much money actually made it to excuse me. They want to know how much money actually made it to the goal of what they were sending the money for, to help the tribal, It turned out to be like 15%.
Oh wow!
Made it to them. So I mean, they were getting ripped off. But only when I got there, I brought along. It was pre, the best cameras you could get were film cameras, except for I did have video cameras. They were tube cameras, and they didn't work in the heat very good. The video cameras had tubes in them, 3 tubes, and it was the best quality you could get at the time. And they cost me like $20,000 a pop used. These video cameras.
Yeah.
But only I brought along the best film cameras, like what they have. I was carrying a Minolta with all the big old lenses and stuff like that. And we were riding along, and for a couple of days, I'm waiting for a tiger or a lion or a zebra or a elephant, like I'm just riding along, ready to get the shot. I got a big old freaking 200 millimeter lens. And I mean, even if it's far away, I'm going to get it on the savannah or whatever. I didn't see one thing. All I seen was kids holding up these stringers with these big snails that they were selling for food. And every once in a while, they would have what looked like a giant beaver or something, or a giant rat, and they would be holding it out to eat. That's all I saw. And we stopped to get gas at a gas station kind of thing. And I asked the driver while they're pumping the gas into the tank, I asked him, where's all the animals? Like, when am I going to see an elephant? Like, can we go away? Is there a way that we can go where I can get a picture of it? He says, oh man, they're gone. Where did they go? He goes, we ate them. He said, if you want to see an animal, you got to go to the national park. That's where they're protected, and then they're still eating them, he said.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That is quite the story. We ate them. I mean,
that's what he said. He ate them. And I actually watched him shoot. We went like every 20 miles, there is a checkpoint. And I didn't understand at that time, I was only like 26 or something like that. I didn't understand how governments keep track of their people. All I knew was the driver kept on. We would talk politically about, because at the time, their president he was Lieutenant Rawlings in this one country, and they had checkpoints every 20 miles, and it was all about controlling the population. And we're starting to see it here, kind of. It's kind of getting scary in America, because I'm starting to see what I saw around the world coming here now. Right. And I kissed the ground when I got in America because of how America is. Now America, something's wrong, you guys, and we need to fight it. Okay,
right.
That's all I'm going to say. But I watched them shoot 2 guys in the head at a police checkpoint. They dragged them out of the truck in front of us because they were gay, and they spread AIDS. So it was like,
wow,
instantly death sentence if they find out you're gay. And I was trying to figure. I was wondering why every hotel we went to, we couldn't share rooms. We all had to have our very own room. You could have a female if you had a wife or a girlfriend or something, but no 2 men or no 2 women in a room. And I didn't understand that. And they would say, the walls have ears. Be careful what you say. And I learned the hard way. Then we went to it was like our 4th of July, but it was their March 2nd, Independence Day. And the president was talking. He was holding his arm up, and he was scolding his people because they weren't doing what he wanted them to do, hence the 20-mile checkpoints. And he said that he was going to make an example of some of the ones that he caught. And then he let his arm go down, and they had, at the time while he was talking, they marched these people behind him on the beach, and they were all shackled and everything. And then this Jeep with 2 machine guns mounted on it drove by and mowed them all down, and there was like 3 million or more people at this event, and they all started chanting, "Let the blood flow in Ghana. Let the blood flow in Ghana." Yeah, it was.
That's scary.
I went out of there, and I got to the boss, my boss. I'm like, "Hey, dude, I'm on the next plane out of here.
I'm out.
Yeah, this is it. I'm
out. I'm done."
Yeah. I mean, they've been getting a gun shoved up my nose and robbed by the police and military every day, 2 or 3 times a day. And I'm done. I want out of here. Like, you're on the next plane. I go, "You bet. Let's go." And he says, "No, you are on the next plane." I go, "Yeah, and let's go." Like, I'm on the next plane.
I'm not seeing an airport yet. I don't see a plane ticket in my hand yet. Let's go.
For the next flight out of here, the only flight is the one you're booked on. I go, "You mean like 4 weeks from now?" He goes, "Yeah, like 4 weeks from now." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
Oh my God. Like, I want to be on the next flight. He goes, "You are. That's the next flight. You're on it." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Wow.
Get any way. Like, jeez, like that was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Skeeters.
Yeah.
They're all gone here. It's too cold here.
Yeah, we get the cold spell tomorrow, so that's going to be quite interesting. Yeah, because it rained all day here. It was like, bleh.
Oh, muggy, huh?
Yeah, gloomy, rainy, wet.
We've only had 1 day of rain here.
So we had one or kind of iffy one day. It kind of sprinkled one.
Right. I mean, California standards, that isn't even considered even worth mentioning, But I mean, the 1 day that we did have down here it poured like cats and dogs. It was
here. Put the fire out finally.
Right, all the fires. I mean,
exactly.
Alan, you know this as well as I do. Unfortunately, we add a season here in California. That's fire season.
Yeah.
So, along with, spring, fall, winter, summer, we get a fire season.
Well, we got hurricane season.
Like now, this fire season was different than any other fire season.
Oh yeah.
I grew up in California, even though I've been all over the place and back all the way to Florida and back and all that, and Oklahoma and everywhere. But only like it used to be 50,000 acres. That was a big fire, huge. This one was 650,000 acres.
I know.
There's something going on, and it made our fire season bigger. It's making COVID happen. I mean, this is all a bunch of BS, you guys. Start researching.
I definitely think there's a lot more behind the scenes than we know on
Like,
all of that.
I don't like the mask thing. I got 4 heart stents and all this stuff, so I'm not supposed to breathe back my own
Right. Well, I mean, the human body is meant to take in oxygen. It's not meant, and it expels carbon dioxide. It is not meant to take in carbon dioxide. Wearing a mask, you're slowly poisoning yourself.
Right.
Well, not only that, with the fires, we had 5 hurricanes trying to come hit us, and we had one.
Yeah,
out of 5,
and they're worse.
Yes.
They're worse. I could talk on that one for a while too, but I'll.
Yeah.
That's for another day.
We'll do it another time on that note.
Yeah.
So
I do want to go squatching though. Like in my mother-in-law saw another Bigfoot in where she's at in Oklahoma, and so I want to do some squatching across the U.S. with all you guys, everyone out there. I want to go squatching with everybody. I want to make it down to Southern Cal and go squatching. I never squatched down there,
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I used to have that mindset. Oh, you got to go way out in the woods to find them and stuff like that. And it was a random trip to Palm Springs with my wife.
Wow, the zoo
that got me thinking otherwise, because she had gone there with my daughter a few months before just for like a spa weekend. And they went and did that gondola thing that went up to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, that's cool.
Her whole thing was, I want to take you on that. It's beautiful up there. So we go for the weekend. She takes me up there. And she knows as soon as I hit that dirt, I'm gone. She knows. All she wanted to do was play in the snow and make snowmen. That's what she did, and I took off. I mean, I noticed that everyone was going left and everyone was going right. No one saw the trail that was straight out. And that's the way I went. I walked out probably maybe a mile and a quarter. And I got to a point where I couldn't hear nothing. And I just closed my eyes and I just let it all go away. Let it all go away. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, I need to go that way. And I did. It was to this big rock outcropping. So I go walking off the trail into this big rock outcropping, and I get up to the edge of this thing, and I see footsteps. Human boot prints.
Yeah.
Going around the rock outcropping. And I giggled to myself. I'm going, someone's out here doing the same thing I am. Too bad he ain't doing it right. And I went up in the rock outcropping, not around it. And up at the top of this rock outcropping was this structure built in between 2 big giant rocks. It's all documented on my channel. I documented everything. And from this spot, you could see the trail I just came off of, and you could see the trail down on the next valley. But from those areas, you could not see the structure. So I did the same thing there. I just closed my eyes. I let everything go away. I need to go to that point over there.
Oh.
I went down. I went back up. There's another structure. There's another structure.
Damn.
And I did that again. I documented all of it, and I went to the next one. Same thing, another structure. Now, you could see these structures from each other.
Right.
They were in between all of these structures down in the valleys were human trails. They're watching the trails and talking to each other. But it was that place that got me to really investigating, okay, how close do they really come to people?
Oh, close.
So I had gone to Big Bear, California, and this is the area that I'm no longer allowed in. Well, not really Big Bear, but Fawn Skin on the other side of the lake is where all this crazy stuff happened.
Usually the backside.
Yeah, it was the backside. That is where I'm not allowed to go anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there because of everything that's happened. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But because of Palm Springs, Big Bear, okay, now we're getting closer to my home.
Right.
And I got tired of sitting around during the weekends, not doing nothing. I'm going to go hiking. And I started going to the area I'm in now. And I started the local mountain series where I was just out exploring the local mountains. Like I said, I'd been out mountain biking thousands and thousands of hours up there. And I just wanted to get out of the house. During that, I start noticing that there's a trail, what looks to me like a game trail running along the bush line off of the main fire road. And then I start noticing these trees where the tops have been broken down and made almost into like a wooden kind of igloo thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this huge barrel stuffed way up in a tree, and we're talking this barrel had to have been close to 100 years old from the rust on it. Now, it wasn't stuffed into a tree from the trail side. It was stuffed in the tree from the back side of the trail. Okay, so you would have, I couldn't even lift this barrel that high anyway. Something had stuffed this very old barrel up into the tree. I would probably say the tree was just as old as the barrel. That's odd. So I start calling it exit 1, exit 2, exit 2, trail 2, because I don't want to give up the location. And I go to, I noticed that there's this one spot where this bush had just been carved out, almost like something had been laying down in it. And we're talking 8, 10 feet long, 4 feet wide, randomly off the side of the trail. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's also documented. So I get to the area that I frequent now, and I was just doing the same thing I did before. Is I'm just walking along the bush line, following this game trail. Put that in parentheses, game trail.
Yeah.
And I come around this bush, and from my experience in fawn skin, I get it is so low you can barely hear it, but it's vibrating my guts.
Yeah.
I didn't run, but I definitely high stepped it to my left because it was on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know that growl. I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. I know that growl. I get my phone out and I start recording, and that is the video title, Something Growled at Me in This Area. So I figured out later that was Fletch that growled at me as I came around and I kid you not, I must have been 3 feet from him.
Right.
And he had moved back after that. He moved back, and he was standing up watching me. Little did I know, big feller was in the trees right next to me, about 8 feet from me, watching all of this go down. And Brandon Bronzini, Bigfoot, actually sent me that screenshot. So I had found Fletch in my video, and I said, what do you think of this? And he sent me back a screenshot. He's all, what do you think of this? And I said, oh, that's a cool picture. Where'd that come from? He's all, your video. And my jaw dropped. I'm all, you're joking, right? He's all, that came from your video from today. And I've been going there ever since, you know. Like I said, purely by accident, you know. But since I have heard that growl before in my experiences, I knew what that was. And I had done a growl impression of what I heard in that video. And you can see Fletch in the background duck behind a bush and slowly come back up.
Whoa.
You know? So, you know, that's what got me into really looking into, okay, well, how close do they come? You've seen my videos. Hundreds of people a day in that area. And they're just sitting there watching.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed,
totally entertaining. Yeah.
It goes back to the whole thing is we are their entertainment.
Yeah.
We are absolutely their entertainment. Not only are we their entertainment, we are their learning source. They're learning how we operate.
Well, I think
we're not hard to figure out.
I think they know for 100 years or more.
I think it goes back,
and we don't even know how old they are. Like when you read about the Cherokee Sukaloo, yeah,
Sukaloo,
yeah. When you read about him, when the girl that he chose for his wife, she aborted what she thought aborted, and the mom took the blood and went and put it in the river.
Threw it in the river.
Yeah, he got all angry. He's like, "What are you doing to my child?" You know, and went and got this little worm thing.
And it was a girl.
Yeah, and then it grew like years and days. So you don't even know how old they are or how long, you know, we don't know nothing. They know everything about us. We don't know nothing about them.
Right.
At all.
I'll tell you what, they know a lot more about us than we do about them. I'll tell you that right now.
Sure. They even know how we taste.
Well, I don't know about that, but
no,
I think as for the missing people and the missing 411, I definitely think it's something else.
Maybe a small percentage would be Bigfoot, but you got to remember there's other things out there besides Bigfoot that eat people. There's things called gugwe. There's Wendigo.
When you check how many people went missing in Yosemite.
Oh man, that is.
I live only a couple hours.
It's a giant red zone.
Yeah, and it's full.
Probably full of gugwees.
Full. You know what? Actually.
But only
now that we bring that up, that whole Fawnskin area, come to find out, I got curious. That whole Fawnskin area is a missing 411 area.
Yeah.
I found that out afterwards, and that was another reason why I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I've interviewed David Paulides 3 times. And when the first time we interviewed him, I asked him to send me the first book that he had, and I was reading through it, and because I wanted to be able to ask really good questions, you know. And there was my teacher, and he went missing about 7 miles from where I saw Bigfoot, and they found his car, they found a fishing satchel, and that was it. He was gone, and he was lieutenant colonel for the National Guard. Even when I was a kid, he was my teacher, and I belonged to the Civil Air Patrol. I joined the Civil Air Patrol, and me and him would fly missions when people would go missing or a plane crash or something like that. He had a twin engine plane, and I would jump in there, and we'd go fly all the time. And then when I was reading the book, there he is, gone, missing. And then I know a lot of these guys over here at the fighter wing, so I went and asked them about it. And they're like, "Man, we've been flying out there. We've been sending 30 guys every weekend for 3 years looking for him. And every time we fly over the mountains, we're looking for him." And he was a big dude. He was well versed in anything woods, and he went missing just like that. Never heard from him. And these guys still were looking for him. It's been a few years now, but there when he first went missing, they were hot and heavy looking for him. They couldn't believe that he disappeared. But it was only 7 miles from where I saw Bigfoot the first time. And oh God, you know.
Like I said, there's definitely a lot more to this world, and I definitely, personally, my own opinion, Bigfoot gets blamed for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is the more believable aspect of all of it.
Well, I know like the pterodactyls could eat them, or I know there's a lot of stuff out there, but only I have it from good authority from the natives around here that they're cannibals. And I've heard it up and down the mountain range. We were over at a Thule reservation, which is Porterville area.
Yeah.
And they invited us because they have the painting of the giant Bigfoot on the rock that's like 1,000 years old.
Right.
And we were up there with them, and we did a wood knock, and the Bigfoots went crazy in these giant redwoods. Like when you go to Sequoia National Park, the big giant sequoias.
I've been there.
They have that on their reservation. In fact, it's just outside of Sequoia National Park, really, like the boundary.
But at the same time, I've heard stories of natives back in the day living peacefully side by side and trading stuff with them.
Yeah, I have too.
Trading furs and food, you know? So, again, I think it goes back to the type that you're dealing with, you know?
Exactly.
All I know is I've talked to people all over the freaking place for a good 20, 30 years. And I haven't heard, I never heard really bad things except from the native people. And when you finally get the story out of them, they were like the protectors of the woods, but they weren't really the brothers they weren't like the bear or and all that. They stole the women so that they could keep their breeding thing going.
Right.
And this is all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And even when you
look at Ape Canyon.
So Kalu, he didn't want to be seen by the mom. He didn't want nobody he didn't like being thinking he was ugly or weird, or he didn't want to see nobody to see him. But he was also taking the girl. Right? What was he doing? He was taking the girl. Yeah, he was making babies. You gotta take it all in. You can't just get a little. You gotta stay open-minded, because every time I think I got it figured out, every time I think I do,
you get a new piece of the puzzle which blows it all out of whack.
You see that thing where your mind gets blown on the little Facebook thing, picture thing, cartoony thing. Well, my mind gets blown, and I quit saying that they aren't this or they aren't that, or it could be this or it could be that. I don't know. All I know is some are cannibals, some take the women, all over the place, right? All over the place.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Just think of it as this.
Like the over there where you're at, that Wolfman thing. Oh my God. And there's vampire things.
Yes.
In Louisiana. And they have video of them.
Yeah.
They have video of them flying. It's like, man, there is some weird stuff. I'm gonna tell you.
Just take this. This is my opinion of things, but always in every aspect of race, monsters, Bigfoot, people, there's always good and there's always evil.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't know what you're dealing with. That's the thing. You don't know.
Until it's too late.
Usually. And if you're having a bad time, you'll just be like my teacher.
Gone.
And nobody knows what happened, or it's just gone.
I mean, what the crazy thing about the whole missing 411 that I find absolutely, like we were talking about, mind-blowing. Because when they find the clothing neatly folded up
Yeah.
on a rock in the middle of a river that no human in their right mind is going to wade into because it's too high and too swift.
Right.
But
And
yet,
almost
here's
all
this
of them
pile of
go-
clothes neatly folded on this rock.
that was something David Paulides was like talking about. He wanted to talk about a lot was the then that's what makes me think they're opportunists is they'll wait until there's going to be a storm coming and they'll take you the day before the storm comes so that it hinders all the people that's going to come looking for you.
Yeah.
And they'll be way gone. All the evidence of them will be gone because the storm blows through and blows the scent and the tracks and everything away. And then you're just gone, or that person's gone.
Right.
And they always, when they do find remains, they're miles away over two rivers that you can't cross. And usually they're little kids that disappear. And then they're way up in, 13,000 feet in the boulders. And it just doesn't make sense,
And
They'll
at
find,
the same
they
time,
find
you get
bones
these.
broken in little pieces and the marrow sucked out of it. And it'll be a pile of little children bones,
But at the same time, you get stories of children going missing and then found 3-4 miles away from where they went missing, but quarter mile away from their aunt's house in the middle of a bush, completely unharmed.
Right.
And the little boy saying, "Oh, well, I hung out with the bear."
Yeah.
The bear. So again, I mean,
well, I understand like that. Like I heard the stories too of there's some around here even where the tribal member got hurt and couldn't walk or passed out or something like that, and then when they come to, they're right by the village. They traveled 7 miles without even knowing, and they're behind a bush. All they did was look around the bush, and there was the village. There's lots of stories of those.
And then you get the story of Glag, the Glag saga, Kevin Lang.
Yeah, interesting stuff, man. Isn't it interesting? I love it.
Yep.
I mean, and Glag was seen helping other people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just taking in all of the stories really leads me to think that there are different types.
Yeah.
And
like
it just
I said,
depends on the different type that you're dealing with,
Yep,
Glag and the ones I deal with are type A, and then you get the ones like in fawn skin or whatever that can go either way at a moment's notice, depending on what you do. And then you got the ones that just automatically want to rip your head off.
Like the Boggy Creek Monster.
They could be a nice one, but had to run in with 100 years
that experience with a human. You're right.
Yeah, trapper shot him or something like that, almost killed him. So they hate all humans,
And I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit. I mean, I actually had a discussion on my channel through the comments, and it was like if we, as humans, we pass information down to our children. They pass it down to their, and it goes on like that. Well, maybe they do the same thing.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Okay, well, guess what? They've seen the Civil War, they've seen the Revolutionary War, they've seen World War I, World War II. They've seen us take over more and more of their land over and over. They've seen what we've done to the Indians. Given all that information, would you want to contact with a human?
Well,
if you were one of them, no, I'd be hiding in the woods too.
Like some of the people, they say like what we did to the Indians, when you look at history, okay, any country, that's how it always was. The strongest and the most savage was the ones that owned the world. You know what I mean? Like, so that was going to happen. And we shouldn't be like feeling bad about it or nothing like that. That's just the way of the world, and it still is, you know.
It's just the way it was.
Yeah, you know, it shouldn't never have happened to them. It should have never happened to the Catholics. It should have never happened to the Spaniards. It should have never happened to the Chinese. It should have never happened to the Japanese. It should have never happened to the Germans.
It should have never happened.
Yeah, it should have never happened to the Israelites. It should have never happened. You know what I mean? Like it
Right.
should have never happened, but people are, maybe that's why the Bigfoot stay out there and don't know, you know, get along with us, because they've seen it all through history. And if you go back in the Book of Enoch, the protector of the forest they describe it as this hairy giant, right? And then this is like pre-Bible stuff.
Right. And it makes you wonder why it was omitted from the Bible.
Well, yeah. Well, the guys, whoever the guys were that was in control then, the ruthless ones that, you know, killed everybody just so they could be in control, they're the ones that wrote the history. And the ones now, they're destroying the history because they want to rewrite it, and they want to control us with fear and COVID and all this stuff. And we need to be raising our voices. Otherwise, we're going to lose America. It ain't about men no more. It ain't about voting. It's about these guys that want to take over America and make it a world, the same thing, right? They want to control the world. They want to make it a one world government and all that. We're in trouble, dudes. If we don't get vocal and stand up for ourselves, we're in trouble. And I'm serious about that. What is it?
The Indian tribes were warring constantly with each other before white man showed up. That is why they have lost to the white man. If they could work together, they could have kept out the pioneers.
That's true. And they had slaves. They would take slaves. Like, everybody's like, oh, the slave owners. Well, the Cherokee were some of the biggest slave owners there was. You know, that's a truth right there.
Duke is like you. He's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. You know?
He probably heard of my wife's grandpa. His name was Cecil Dick. You can Google Cecil Dick and it'll come up, the Cherokee National Treasure and all this stuff. And all my family's all on reservations and stuff like that. So
really, I have Potawatomi on my dad's side.
Yeah, I don't look like it. Like I had no idea. I did, but I didn't know like how much blood I had or nothing like that. But when I started working in the casino, they do a real serious background check. Mm-hmm. I mean, like it takes 7 months for the background check. And they'll let you work, but if anything comes up in your background check, you're gone if it's bad, right? Yeah. If you got arrested for drunk driving 20 years ago, you're gone. So, and then one day I'm the boss. I'm over 3 different places in the casino. I got like, I don't know, a couple hundred and maybe 300 employees under me. And we have these meetings once a week and we talk about what the promotion's going to be. And everybody's looking at me like, what are we going to give away? How are you going to make more money this month? All this stuff. And they would sit around. Most of them were tribal members of that tribe, and they would be calling each other cuz. Hey, cuz. Hey, cuz. It was like, hey, white boy. You know, and I didn't take it bad. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, I'm a white boy. But then one day we're having this meeting, and the tribal council's there, and the chief, and everybody, you know, and I'm giving them a 1-year promotion calendar of what I'm going to do for the whole year. That way they can plan and they know where I'm at any given time for the whole year. I would do that annually so that I would just plan out the whole year for the casino of what the giveaways are going to be and special events and all this stuff. And it worked out way better than if I did it every, like, when the promotion was almost over, I'm giving them the next promotion, right? I would give them all at one time. Well, anyways, we're sitting there, and the tribal chairman is there, and they start this cuz white boy, and one of them said white boy, and he stood up. He's like, "Hey, cuz, we can't call him white boy no more." You know, and it's like they're all like, "What?" Like he is, he is the white boy, and even I'm looking at him like, "What?" Like, what? And then he's like, "Well, his background came back, and he has more blood than all of us, and they're more quantum blood than all of us." And then they're all like, "What? He's white. How does he have more blood than me?" He goes, "Well, you're Mexican, and you're black, and you're Hmong, and you only have like a 16th, and you're barely even qualifying, cuz like all of you guys, your daddy's black, and your mama's a Mexican, and like you're just live here." I was like, oh my God, like, oh boy. So they couldn't call me white boy, so they started calling me white buffalo, and I was like, and they were taking it as meaning it was like a hit, on me, kind of like. But it wasn't a hit to me. I mean, the white buffalo is like where my tribe is like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like that's the coolest thing ever is a white buffalo. So they gave me the right name, and I loved it. And that's what I was. All the rest of the time I worked there was white buffalo. I loved it, every minute of it.
And there you go. So
In
we're
3
at 3 hours right now.
We did the 3-hour tour.
We did the 3 hour tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilligan never showed up.
Oh, no, that's right. And the skipper jumped bail.
Right.
And the professor was studying.
I know I can see, it says I can see a chat, but only I can't read it. So there's probably only one person left too.
No, we got 29 people still here hanging.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we were upwards of 50 at one point.
Yeah, we was.
Nice.
So,
I do have a message before we do go. Next Sunday when we come back on for 7 o'clock, I will start doing the drawings for the Sasquatch and the gift certificates that
okay.
I'm gonna send out. So it's gonna be one female and one male. So I've been taking excuse me. I've been taking everybody who's been in the chat room, so that's what I've been writing down.
Cool.
So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I want to give away a Sasquatch with a stuffed animal Sasquatch with a gift card. So
nice. Yeah, I mean, I gave away so much stuff at the casino. It was so fun. That was the funnest part of the whole job. Is like, I would give I would buy these $80,000 sports cars, and man, people they'll play for that, right? They'll come out, they'll play for that. Like every so many dollars, they get an entry,
Right.
Some of them would have 6,000 entries in there, and then the one that would win would only have 2. And he showed up that day, never been there before, right?
Right.
That's how it always was.
Yeah, I used to be an electrician. I've actually built a few casinos, and it was, always pushing it. Oh, you got to get this done so we can open. And then all of a sudden we open up a section of it, and they're rolling in this $120,000, sports car, and it's like, who decided to park inside the casino? That's not anybody parking. That's a giveaway for our first opening night. And I'm going, what? It's like $120,000 vehicle. Yeah.
You know what's funny about that?
That's how we roll.
I would give the car away, but when I would give it away, I mean, the place was like a zoo, right? I mean, there would be a miles long line to get there, and I had to hire ambulances and stuff to be at there, fire engines and stuff, just in case, because they couldn't get there, if they wanted to, if something happened. Well, I would give away the car, but then I would have an office ready, and I would stack up $20,000 in $100 bills in a big cube.
Right.
and I would have the title and keys right here, and I would have the $20,000 cube right here. Okay, now the car's worth maybe 85 or 90,000. And when they walk in and sit down, and we're gonna, give it to them, I give them a option.
You want this cash?
Cash, or you could take the car, right?
Right.
Well, every time they came in, they couldn't even look at the keys. They were just stuck on that cube. $20,000. It was like, okay, so which one do you choose? And they would grab the cube. I go with it, but before you take it, we have to take the taxes out, right?
Right.
And so now they got less than $20,000. Now, if they would have took the car and went to the bank and said, I own this car and I need to pay the taxes and stuff, they'll give them the loan, whatever it is for the taxes and licensing and stuff like that. And then sell the car for $92,000, pay the loan back, and have, $75,000 or $80,000 in your pocket, right? But they never did that. They took the cash, and then I would go and trade the car in for another one, and come back and park a vet or a Prowler,
right.
Something. I'd find some
Right.
Viper,
Right.
there. Sometimes like a pickup truck with a boat and all the fishing gear and everything, all the whole setup, and with
Porsche.
Oh yeah, like the ones everybody wanted back in the day was the Toyota MR2 and the
BMW.
the Mercedes,
Right.
like the little one where the top would go down into the trunk. I mean, I gave probably a dozen of those things.
Oh yeah.
Well, I heard that somebody screamed.
That was my bird.
Oh,
I have a big hyacinth macaw.
Oh, cool.
He's
Yeah.
huge.
It's loud.
I
Very
used
loud.
to have animals like that. Now I have fish. They're quiet.
Yeah. I got a rabbit, 3 guinea pigs, a tortoise, a couple dogs, and a bunch of cats.
Yeah, I used to have
Two.
So
3 horses, 2 goats, 10 geese, 6 kids, 90 cats, and 6 dogs, and all these animals.
yeah, you know how it is.
I'm down to fish now, and that's where I like it. Even though a couple of weeks ago I was playing with the FLIR. We were out investigating with the FLIR, and some of my fish were dying, and I didn't understand why. And I came in with a FLIR, and all the lights were out, and I think, oh man, I'm not going to turn the light. I'm going to put this FLIR and walk through the house. And I realized my fish tank was just glowing. It's like, oh my God, and I got up the next morning, another fish was dead, and I pulled the thermometer out, and it was like off the charts. I was cooking, and the heater in the tank burned out or something, and it just went on cook.
Wow.
Cooked all my fish. Only 3 survived out of all of them.
Oh my God, that bird won't shut up now.
Yeah, it heard me talking about him.
He probably did. No, he's probably barking because we have the dogs out in the yard. So he gets pissed off like when you take the dogs out of the room where he's at.
I had an Amazon parrot. They're smart.
Oh, he's smart. He says words. He says words you wouldn't believe what he says. Believe me. You know?
They pick up the stuff you say that you don't realize you're saying. Like, shut the damn door. The next thing you know, your bird's yelling, shut the damn door.
He says, shut the F up.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
And we have a cat. And you know how you say, come on, pussy cat. Come on, pussy, pussy, Well, that's his favorite thing now. He says, come on, pussy.
Pussy.
Yeah, that's what he says.
They'll rip up the cat.
And then, like, I'll give him a treat, and he goes, I started going, yum, So now when I go up in there, he goes, yum, yum. I'm like, he sounds like the damn gremlin, yum, yum, yum. You remember that gremlin movie? The Gremlins? He goes, yum, yum, with the chocolate. That's him.
I think that's what the Bigfoots do when he shows up on Saturday. Because sometimes I'm like that. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go find that trail. I'm gonna have me a snack out there. And he leaves a really good spread. I mean, we do that too. We quit doing it as much though. because they start expecting it, and then if you miss a day or something like that, man, they don't like it.
But
upset.
Mine, I actually missed a day not too recently due to rain, and really wasn't even because of the rain; it was because of the lightning.
Oh yeah.
You
don't want to be on top of a mountain like that.
Right, exactly. I went out the next weekend. The atmosphere was just fine. I put their stuff out like I always do. Didn't feel any different. But I'll tell you what, when I took Lewis out there, that following week and a couple weeks after that, oh boy, did the atmosphere feel. It was not mad, but irritated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll know, man. They will. Like
as for missing a day, I think they know that it wasn't because I didn't feel like doing it.
Well, I have friends that they weren't friends, but they followed us on paranormal stuff, and they moved to the mountains or out, and they started feeding them and interacting with them, and they started getting the mind speak thing, and then they decided that they were a little more scared of them than anything, because they started experiencing like they're in the house but they can't see them, and they would see like shadows and stuff like that. And they were asking me, what do you do? What do you do? And I tell them, well, you get lights and cameras and you put them all over the place because they hate it. And that maybe, and don't ever feed them. Because once you start doing that, man, they and you're lucky that it ain't at your house, right? If it was at your house, I would be really telling you, don't do that. You'll be at work and they'll be terrorizing your family because you didn't leave the bananas or whatever. But I get a lot of. You'd be surprised how many people contact me all the time about that. About what do you do when you're, you thought they were nice and you're at your house, now, I don't know how many have moved out now. They left. And I don't know what you tell the persons that you just sold the house to, that there's these things out there, slaps the house, gets real close and leaves.
How do you disclose something like that on a home sale? You know what I mean?
I have no,
because the question's going to come up eventually in that whole sale is, why are you selling the house?
Yeah.
Well, there's these big, hairy, 8 to 10 foot tall beings out there in the woods that run by and smack the house, and we thought we'd feed them and stuff like that just to kind of calm them down, and then we quit feeding them, and now they're jumping on the roof and running across the roof and chasing the cars down the driveway and chasing us into the house as we get out of the car. It's like, how do you disclose something like that?
I know, but I know I tell them, don't even if you're feeding them, stop, because that's just encouraging them. It just makes them come in more, and then get them lights and cameras out. You have to really flood the whole area. You can't, like you were saying, you can't just put them on one side where you think they're at, because they'll move from that side to the other side as soon as you put it. You got to put it everywhere.
Yeah.
Around your house.
Well,
it's the only way. Now we have technology that it's cheap to do. You can put solar lights and all that.
Right.
Motion cameras where all the way around, that'll record and everything.
Yeah.
To your
exactly. Phone. Well, we at the 3 hours and 13-minute mark. I hate to say it, but I have to cut it short. I have to go. So
it's late where you are.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock and I got several things I gotta do anyway. But
me too. I'm gonna go eat dinner.
Yeah, you 2 hours ahead of me.
I was smelling it a little while ago. I don't smell it anymore.
So we
absolutely wonderful talking to you, Alan. It's been
Yeah, I
an
love
absolute
it.
pleasure. It's, I mean, we could probably go on for another 6 to 8 hours nonstop, with this conversation, but unfortunately, we all have obligations and responsibilities.
Yeah, like you got to go to.
I'm sorry I had to do that.
What are you laughing at?
Oh, you didn't see what I just did?
No, I didn't.
Look, check it out. I could do you.
You're being me?
Yeah, look.
He's got a mustache.
I could do the hair with the beard.
And with that being said,
Bye, guys.
thank you for coming, Alan. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Love
Have
you.
a wonderful night, and we'll have you back on the show again for part 3.
Sure, and maybe I'll have have you guys on mine too one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That would be
sounds good.
Yep.
Because I don't do that very often. Have guests. I just make videos and edit them and put them up usually.
Right. Yeah,
That's
let's
fine.
do it. Let's do it. You can find my email.
Man, if you can see my room, my wife was like, "Get that stuff out of here." I mean, I got everything for TV, believe it or not.
Yeah, well, you can find my email in my about section on my channel. Not a problem. Give me a holler. And Christy, you know how to get a hold of Christy.
Mm-hmm.
And Lewis, too. Not a problem.
Poor
Anyone
Lewis,
else?
he's got problems with his internet and all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he had a computer crash not too long ago, and it's
so.
Aw.
yeah.
Like if I lived down by you guys, I'd build him one.
Oh.
Well, he's more than capable of building himself one. He's actually, he's very, very capable. So
I just built this one and I'm loving it, man. The editor works again. This is taking forever.
Nice. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you all later. Thank you for everyone joining tonight.
Yes. Watch on.
I think this is probably our longest one ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
this one, but it's a long one.
It's all right.
Over 3 hours. We still
did
just
a 5-hour one time, and it was a live 5-hour. I even went to Walmart and came back, and the guys were still talking. I was like,
oh, wow. You get into this topic, and especially when you have people as ourselves in our wonderful chat who all have experiences and stuff like that.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna end this session. We can talk. So everybody have a good night. May the squatch be with you. Don't hug the Wookiees, as Duke says. Don't hug the squatchies. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.